as a singular planet. In fact, it is anything but. For this is a story not of a universe, but a multiverse, where universes and planets, such as Earth, were replicated and mirrored across a vibrating, infinite plane. Some barely different from the next. Others drastically so.
This is DC On Screen. Every week, Dave and Jason talk about the multiverse of DC properties on film and television. But be warned, if it's been officially released, you can expect they'll spoil it.
You got it? You good? I'm good. We're good.
Go forth.
Okay.
Go forth. Young chariot.
What?
I don't know. Chariots aren't old or young. It's certainly not sentient.
I guess they are. They're not sentient, but I
guess they can age.
Pixar might have something to say about that.
Entirely fair.
Welcome welcome into DC On Screen, episode 444. I'm your host, David C. Robertson. This is my co-host, Jason Goss.
Hello.
Not even a week from our Justice League review, which is still, it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube in video form, and of course the audio feed that you're so used to hearing us on.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to take this time very quickly to remind you that we are on Twitter and Facebook, but if you really want to help the show, we are now accepting reviews on Facebook, and as well as, obviously, iTunes. A written 5-star review on either platform is wonderful.
Goes a long way.
It goes a really huge distance. If you could just go and let everyone know that we're not awful, that'd be awesome.
Great start. If that's the best you can say, we'd still appreciate it.
Right.
I would actually really love to pick that up and see a Facebook review that just says they're not awful. 3 out of 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Speaking of audiences saying something isn't awful, the Justice League audience ratings have come in. And at this point, I'm going to just go ahead and say that's the only one that matters. Over at CinemaScore, the audiences have given Justice League a B+. And on Rotten Tomatoes, despite the critics giving it a 40%, that's where it's at right now, 40%. It did dip a little lower, but then it's come back. Critics gave it 200 out of 248 ratings, brings it to 40% for critics. But the audience members, 103,057, give it an 85%. So
that feels more right.
I'm reading it correctly. So yeah,
we have explained several times why that system is broken. So let us know if you want details,
sure.
But no point going into it again.
Moving on. Justice League has had a disappointing box office weekend, so again, if you like this stuff and you haven't gone to see it, go see it. Come on, do that. Warner Brothers released estimates that it would make about $96 million. Turns out it actually made about $94 million this opening weekend. That falls pretty short, considering that they had estimated it originally at coming in from anywhere from 100 to 120 million. So that makes Justice League the smallest opening weekend for a DC Films release. Man of Steel did 116.6, BVS did 166 million, and Suicide Squad made 133.7 million, and Wonder Woman did 103.2.
Well,
so
if it's any, as a predictor, those first 3 movies didn't have legs, and Wonder Woman apparently did.
Uh-huh.
So hopefully that holds true for Justice League as well. And, in my anecdotal personal life, I can name you 6 people in my limited field of contact that said, I really didn't have time this week and I'm going to hit it up Friday.
Absolutely. And again, I tend to look at it this way as well. The holiday season is on the horizon. We're already, ankle deep, if not knee deep. And the movie was released at a pretty unfortunate time between Thor Ragnarok and The Last Jedi, not to mention Pixar's Coco in there. So that's gonna cost some money. People are pinching their pennies, and negative reviews aren't helping. But mainly, I think it's probably just going to be missing the repeat viewings because of all these other movies coming out. Like, I think people will opt to go see other things, and are opting to go see other things, because of all of the different movies coming out. And, a lot of people have said, I've seen a lot of people saying, oh man, if Justice League has to be horrible if it can't even beat a B movie or a B character from Marvel. dude, Thor is not a B character anymore.
No.
That is like 10 years ago shit.
That is
Stop thinking that he is a B character. He's not. He's an Avenger.
Facile argument. Like half the Avengers were B characters. I mean, come on.
Half the Avengers were like C characters, but if not lesser. But
Iron Man has been like canceled and revived several times. He's just barely hung on, and he's the one who started this whole thing.
I'm
Via
just
the
saying,
necromancer that is Robert Downey Jr.'s charm.
Those Thor trailers got a lot of traction.
They look great.
Reviews
the movie's
are
fantastic.
Absolutely, the movie is fantastic. The trailers were stellar. It's not even one Avenger; it's two Avengers, two B-listers.
Yes.
They're not B-listers anymore.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry, guys. When you look at the box offices, the X-Men are underdogs right now compared to these cats.
Oh, huge.
X-Men used to be like the top dog in comics, period.
Yeah.
Not no more, y'all.
And, by this measure, like Fantastic Four should have done so well.
So, yeah, I'm not saying there's not problems with Justice League. There is, but, I don't think this is all the same stuff that everyone said about, BVS and Suicide Squad, and those movies did gangbusters. So I don't think the negative reviews are the thing that's necessarily the end-all be-all with people not going to the theater. I think there are a lot of other factors involved.
Yeah. No, I think it's definitely timing.
Now Justice League did open to $185 million internationally.
That's not nothing.
And they're saying, no, it's not nothing. And they say they have a little room to run because of Thanksgiving. Deadline's reporting. But, apparently Deadline is saying, though,
just because it is for most people like a 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8, 11-day weekend, depending on how you took your vacation days. Just because of that, like, if this movie did almost as well this weekend, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, the only thing that would deeply surprise me is if from that low start there was a genuine cut.
Yeah.
Like a Suicide Squad level cut. See, that one bit off way more in week A than it had left to chew in week B.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that one you can almost predict. Especially based on BVS, I think the market's pretty dry in week 2, and sure enough, it looked almost decapitated. I don't think we have this problem this time. It would surprise me though.
I was listening, or I was talking to one of our listeners, Sean, and he was saying that Pastor Sean, and he says that he wants to go see it. He's going to go see it, but he just hasn't had time. He's busy, so it's going to happen. It's going to be a slow trickle because of the holiday season, but I think. I think the numbers will turn out maybe not as much as Warner Brothers wants it to, because that's always the case. Sure,
they need their money. But in my life, again, just anecdotally, look, there's a lot of people I've been talking to about it that just said they're just trying to bank time for this week, so they worked over the last weekend.
Sure,
I know several people that did that.
Anyway, so Deadline's reporting, though, that to make a profit, Warner Brothers needs to bring in $700 to $750 million globally for Justice League, and that's after ancillaries. And even at that point, the profit is small because of how much they spent for in production, and then they're estimating I think it was 130 something, 135, 136 million for ads, marketing.
Yeah.
So
the profit's higher than they're telling you on this. A lot of the problem is shell companies, but that's a whole other conversation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It makes more than you think it does.
Yeah. So there was we've mentioned this before on our actual Justice League review, but reports came in that Kevin Tsujihara, CEO of Warner Brothers, made it a mandate that the film be under 2 hours in runtime, which makes Justice League the shortest DC film.
A lot of people applauded. A lot of people hated it.
My bladder applauded.
My bladder certainly applauded the notion.
I'm not going to lie. I think it could have used a little more padding. Could have used a little more character development in the movie. But, then again, reviews are kind of all over the place for this thing. Like, some people are complaining that it had too much of that. It had, I don't need to know all these characters. Well, if they hadn't been there, you would have been griping about that.
Yeah.
And then other people are griping about that, how it didn't have enough of that. And, people, the Snyder fans, which I'm not saying I'm not one, because I am a Snyder fan, but at the same time, there's the hardcore Snyder people that are screaming that.
They'll tend to fall into generalized camps.
These people are like, Whedon butchered the film. I have no evidence of that. They're saying that they want Geoff Johns off of future DC movies. It's just ridiculous. This movie's wound up dividing the fan base even more, I think. But I still liked it.
I knew that was going to happen to begin with, honestly.
Sure.
But again, that's because this is what I was hoping for. By the way, the reviews are almost too much to get into, and I don't really want to talk about them all at once.
Yeah.
But can we all agree that people saying Geoff Johns should be separated from this project or these projects in general is objectively wrong?
You and I can say that.
I think at least me and you can.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the only part that's objectively like, okay, go, slow your roll, dude. Now, come on.
Yeah. I think a good, and I'm probably going to get bashed for saying this, but I don't give a shit.
Oh, yeah. We've already been through all that.
I think, you know what? I say, if they keep Zack Snyder around, let him develop the Vertigo stuff.
That would be nice.
Just let him do like a Vertigo cinematic universe that ties in with the DC cinematic universe, but just keep the Vertigo shit separate. Well,
tonally, you remind me of it.
Let Snyder do that.
They spent all this time looking for a great Justice League Dark director, but man, wasn't he right under their nose the whole time?
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be some sort of...
Damn, he could tear that movie up.
There's so many people screaming about how now Justice League looks like a Marvel film. I don't even think that. I really don't.
Still does. And to some extent, you can rephrase their argument as, oh, you mean there are colors? Like films. Like in the way that films have colors now. Well, yes,
except,
then. I suppose it does look like an MCU film.
You know what? Except that I dismissed that notion because Captain America Civil War and Winter Soldier were, bleak and gray as hell.
They were. That's another one of those arguments that, I just can't do anymore. I can't talk about colorisms anymore. I'm going to call it that now.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many... I don't know. The Marvel films have a lot of different tones to them. So, I don't like the oversimplification and generalization of either franchise, and I think it's foolish.
It is. And the verses is ridiculous. There's parts of talking about these films that we've done so many times and gone down the same road so many times that I don't use the phrase I can't even a lot.
Uh-huh.
And I especially don't use it non-ironically, but we're there. I can't even. I can't even with that.
Okay. Along that same vein, I was just thinking today, they should make a movie. They shouldn't, actually. They shouldn't make a movie, but I'll be surprised if in a few years, next 5 years or so, Roland Emmerich doesn't do a film called about an earthquake called Shook, which may or may not follow Christopher Nolan's follow-up to Inception called Woke.
Woke? Question mark?
I'm just kidding, guys. I don't actually think those things are going to happen. I really hope not. But if Rampage does well, who the hell knows, man? We might be really screwed.
Yeah.
All right.
My one last request: at least keep Dwayne Johnson in it. Give me something to hope for. If you're going to do all that.
So a visual effects artist called LDN_film, who worked on Wonder Woman, went on over to Reddit to answer some questions about Justice League. He had several friends working on, I don't know if it was a he actually, they had several friends working on Justice League. Mm-hmm. And apparently the original after credit scene that was shot in principal photography was Bruce Wayne being woken in the middle of the night in his lake house by a green light and being visited by Tomar Ree and Kilowog. And that person says that it was cut fairly early on during post-production. They also mentioned another deleted scene, which was actually shown in someone close to the production uploaded a bunch of incomplete deleted scenes from Justice League onto Vero. Not Vero, Vimeo.
Yeah, Vimeo is the one where you get if you're constantly watching it, you'll get all kinds of audition tapes and all crap like that.
Yeah. Now, a lot of this stuff was very incomplete. A lot of the CGI, it's been taken down now.
Oh, yeah.
I watched them.
It does not last very long. But you got to see them?
And I did. I got to see them.
Oh.
One of them was a really boring sequence of Cyborg learning to fly.
Okay.
One of them was a pretty boring sequence of the Flash running outside to grab Iris, who was flying out of a car. She got hit. Her car hit a truck and Barry saved her.
Oh, I
It was
forgot
pretty
about
boring.
Iris getting cut. That poor girl. She was so excited.
I mean, there I don't know. There were a few kind of, I mean, a lot of cyborg stuff, like stuff that I just didn't like. There was stuff like with him running like a Nazi simulation. There was a thing where him like flying in space and, you know, controlling missiles. Who knows what the hell all that would have been, but
It's like while they were shooting, someone kind of went, "Yeah, we're gonna cut all this. We're just gonna." Does he know we're gonna make a cyborg film by itself? Okay.
right. So yeah, you know, a lot of people have said that, you know, oh, these scenes should have been it. No, they shouldn't have been.
Honestly, for what you just described to me and the amount that I needed to pee after 2 hours, I appreciate the cut so far.
Absolutely.
That's a conversation I'll have to kind of table for about 6 months until we get what will inevitably be at least some deleted scenes, if not an ultimate edition of some kind.
Right. And, you know, a lot of people are arguing that we're not going to get an ultimate edition because they changed it so quickly, like, because this movie was just starting to film when BVS came in and tanked, as far as critically tanked. It didn't tank commercially.
No.
But, yeah, like, so a lot of people are saying that there's really no way for there to be an ultimate cut. You know, Grace Randolph said, you know, she actually had a set visit and she came in and said, like, oh no, there's definitely a director's cut. There's got to be. There's stuff that was, who knows?
Yeah, if it's, I mean, same way Jared Leto said you could make an entire Joker film off what's on the cutting room floor. Like, I just
you know what? A lot of people
hope there isn't. I kind of don't. I want this to just be the movie for once.
I mean, well, we got that in Wonder Woman.
We did get that finally in Wonder Woman, but Wonder Woman had a little less discussion about reshoots.
I feel you, and most of the time I agree. I don't want an ultimate cut, but if they do an ultimate cut, I'm buying it. Like, there's no way I'm not.
Yeah, that's part of the reason I don't want it. Is, you know, I could use that money.
I totally want to see that. Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah, like the only nice thing about the ultimate cut version of things, like the thing I hate about it is I basically have to pay twice to see the movie. But
yeah,
if you're telling me I pay once to see the movie in glimpse form, where it's just like me and my memories for months of whatever I saw in that 2 hours, and I only pay about, what do we pay around here, like $13? Is that about our average ticket price?
Yeah, something like that.
Some people are probably balking, going, "You only paid $13." But that's about our 13, 15. So if you tell me, like, hey, you're going to pay 13 or 15 bucks for this, you get to see it one time, and it's just you and your fond or hateful memories until the next time you get to see it. And then next time you tell me, okay, now I'm going to charge you 30, but it's a hard copy, yours for the rest of your life, and there's 14 extra minutes of the movie. It's not a bad deal. It just still bothers me that I have to go pay the extra money. I can justify it.
Yeah.
I just need that $30 most of the time.
Sure.
I
understand.
Not particularly affluent.
Right. Anyway, so a few months ago, this photographer Josh Rossi did a photo shoot with a bunch of children with disabilities, and it was like a Justice League photo shoot. All the kids were dressed up like the Justice League, and
so far so good.
Zack Snyder. Yeah, it was, you know, very well received online. Snyder,
probably adorable.
Zack Snyder, sure. I don't know. I saw it and I thought, you know, I mean, it's awesome for those kids, but it was just so sad because, like, you could look at them and tell they're sick. You know what I mean? It was a sad thing. I felt bad for him. Sure. But, you know, Zack Snyder actually did a special screening for them. He gave them all a special screening of the movie.
That's nice.
And yeah, and the kids' family and friends got to see the movie as well. So that was nice.
That is nice.
I guess we're gonna talk about this now. Zack Snyder has not seen Justice League. I'm not surprised. You know, I don't know why he hasn't seen it necessarily. Maybe it's a painful issue for him. It appears to be. Someone on Vero, one of his fans, Fukujang0627. I can't read everything she was saying. Her message, her initial message, comes in for us in the picture at feminism, and that's all, and that's the end of the sentence. And then she says, and that's all because BECOZ. Joss Whedon's shallow character development, poorly writing skill, a easy way to distinguish his Tuterio's work, or God knows what his problem with women is never because, again, wrong spelling, Zack Snyder's Amazonian's dressing/armor style, hashtag Whedon was cancelled, and then her name. And Zack replies, I will be honest, I have not seen the film since I stepped away. You know I love these characters. I wish only I could have finished it for you and the others who love MOS BVS, and a heart emoji. So that's, causing a lot of...
How did that poorly written message result in actual news?
Because Zack Snyder responded to it and said he didn't...
I mean,
he hasn't seen the movie, and she
practically I
shared
understand. I'm almost talking more philosophically. How?
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully this is a lesson to Zack Snyder that he won't respond to people like this on his social media channels, because this isn't the only thing that she has shared, that she has screenshotted and shared from their conversation. But whatever. I mean,
look, two things are happening here. One, Jared Leto's never seen Suicide Squad. Now, that is nowhere close to saying that a director of a movie hasn't seen the movie itself, even after all the post-production changes. That is an entirely different thing. I understand. Different caliber. But
yeah,
it's still like a project that you're not involved in right now. You took it out of your own hands. As far as we could tell, that really is the story. I don't think WB took it from him. I really do think it had more to do with him instigating it and WB kind of saying, yeah, we saw this coming. I understand.
Yeah.
But he's.
I'll be honest. I think they did, but not in that way. Like, I think they took it from him when BVS tanked critically.
I still don't think that was it, because it still made its money. I don't think they were willing to take it away, but I do think, like, when he decided to step away, I don't think they fought him on it. That's all.
Well, I don't think they said you're stepping away. I think they creatively took it from him, and they said, but you can stick around, but we're doing it this way.
No, I mean, my take still on it is he was still so involved in every part of it, and you can go back to Vero to justify that. Like, he's there for everything. I mean, he's posting about the minutia of this project every single day.
Well, just because he was physically there doesn't mean that he wasn't fighting an uphill battle. You know what I mean? Like, I
mean, it's possible.
And I don't know. I don't know.
It's possible.
I don't know. I obviously don't have any.
Yeah, we have no insider information. Just everything about the tone of this, to me, says it was still under his control. And for me, it's a combination of, like, it's not currently a thing it's not on his plate right now. I think there are some hurt feelings about it.
Yeah.
Just because, all right, I don't have this, but someone explained the word FOMO to me the other day. Fear of missing out.
Oh, what is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's not a thing I experience. I'm not a social enough creature. But apparently it's a thing people have. So I think that...
I've seen FOMO popping around the internet. I just thought that it was some sort of, like, I don't know, new hate speech or something.
No.
Someone was calling somebody a FOMO or something. I don't know. I didn't know what that meant.
Nope. Fear of missing out.
Okay.
It's actually a little sweeter in a way than what you were talking about.
Yeah.
So
that makes me feel a little better.
Yeah. The internet seems slightly brighter now. But yeah, I think that it might be a combination of a little bit of that for him and a little bit of just it's not what he's doing. Like, he's got that indie film that he's already working on. I forget the name of it, but
yeah.
But he is actively engaged in another project right now, and
I think that was put on hold.
God,
I'm not sure.
I'd have to find some details.
I'm not sure about
I'm pretty
that.
sure it's like that he is working on something, and I can't remember the name of it to look it up at the moment. But that's only a side effect. I'm just speculating about him and his family, like on a personal level. But to me, it reads as though like there was a denial stage and there's an acceptance stage, and I think they're deep into the acceptance and dealing with it stage. I just really don't think Justice League is on top of his priority list right now.
Yeah,
and it may not be for years. Think about what he went through. Like,
absolutely,
he may never care about the DCEU again, and that's fine.
I think he cares. I think he absolutely cares.
Well,
about
it may never make
it
to the top of his list again. Is all. That's all I meant by that, I guess.
Well, I mean, I kind of wonder if, he wasn't considering it because of, his daughter and everything. And then, like, fighting the uphill battle with the tone and everything, he just went, you know what? I can't do this both.
Yeah.
I can't do both.
Oh, yeah. No, there's... he has every reason in the world to just kind of walk away as much as he can from this right now and deal with things.
I have no reason to believe... I'm in a strange position because I have no reason to believe that Snyder didn't pick Jaws and that he wasn't on board with the tone. Because even back as far as, weeks before BVS came out, they were saying that it's going to be lighter, it's going to be funnier, it's going to be blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And, as much as people want to point out stuff from the old trailers, from the pre-Jaws trailers and say, oh, well, this is clearly a Jaws scene because of blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bullshit, this was in the old trailers.
No. And you really cannot always tell. I would consider myself a big Edgar Wright fan.
Uh-huh.
And so help me, there are moments in Ant-Man where I looked at that film and thought, oh man, that is an Edgar Wright moment. And then, going back and researching it a little bit, it wasn't at all. It fit the tone. It fit what was happening. Maybe it fit the original template that Edgar Wright wrote for Ant-Man. But it was I forget who directed it, who actually ended up directing it.
Peyton Reed?
That sounds right. I'm going to go with you.
Cool.
I've got no better option.
Clink.
You had a name. I don't. I'm voting with Dave. So, but like, you can't always tell, man. You just can't. And
yeah,
that's why they're seriously 2/3 of, I think it's like 2/3 of films go through arbitration, at least for writers.
Yeah.
And this is one where you almost had to go through it for directors. Come on.
Hey, man.
We feel like we can tell when it's a Whedon moment, but we may not really be able to tell when it's a Whedon moment. There are going to be some false positives here.
You know what? I'm going to call you out, though.
What? I'm
going to call you out a little bit.
What'd I do?
You said you're a really big Edgar Wright fan.
Uh-huh.
Did you see Baby Driver?
No, I knew you were going to ask that. And no, I haven't had time.
I feel bad because I haven't either. Like, I didn't go to the theater. I wanted to. And then, like, I keep seeing it in Walmart and going, I know I'm just going to buy it. I know I'm just going to buy it one day, but I just haven't had.
But this is
I haven't
again
wanted to spend the money on it.
This is again. You just have to believe my honesty here. I think about it every day.
I do
That's
too.
not an exaggeration. Every single
That's so
day,
sad.
I think to myself, is today going to be the day I use that code and actually watch it? And every day I get home and think, I have shit I have to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to see Baby Driver too. It looks
I really
good.
do. It looks great. All right, we got to do a DC podcast. Sorry.
Yeah. Except Kevin Spacey, I think, is in it, isn't he?
Oh, he is. Oh, I should have got.
Isn't that ruined? Isn't that ruined for us now?
I should have seen that before.
Why, Lord? Why? Anyway,
honestly, that wouldn't help me. Kevin Spacey was one of those people I had heard rumors about before. He's always been a little distracting. It's actually one of the reasons I never got into House of Cards. Is there's a back in the back of my mind. I'm like, I don't trust this cat.
I don't ever trust tabloids and stuff. I didn't even know about Kevin Spacey really, but it didn't surprise me. I was like, yeah, he seems like a creep. That's why he plays such a good villain.
Possibly.
He feels like he might just, penetrate you or something without a moment's notice.
That's not a joke you're going to be proud of later.
No, I specifically mean it's not a joke. He does seem that way. He absolutely seems that way. He seems completely rapey and weird, which serves him. That's not a joke.
No,
he just seems that way.
Let's put it this way: to some extent, acting is just kind of displaying parts of a personality that aren't necessarily on the surface for you at all times.
Yeah,
it's at least one interpretation of it. There's several, obviously. So to that end, it might have been helping them that he's actually apparently kind of creepy secretly.
Yeah,
but there was some part of me that has heard rumors about him for a while and thought, I know that's just a rumor, but I don't see anything wrong with that. Some part of it feels right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, that's just me judging a guy without evidence, I guess. But
yeah,
here's the evidence. I suppose.
You don't want to do that.
We live in weird times now between rumors and evidence, and it's really hard to digest and process everything. Before anyone gets mad, we're going to get some of this wrong. We know that.
Oh, sure.
There will be backtracking.
As just I don't...
We haven't even gotten into TV news, for God's sake. Stick around for that.
No. Absolutely. But you know what? It's difficult because you want to stand with the victims, but that doesn't leave a whole lot of room for guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, there's a
There's
a middle ground that's a little hard to kind of stand between and still be able to get really excited about seeing an escapist product. That's the real problem I'm facing right now personally. Is like I want to just watch these things and escape into a narrative for a while, and I keep using the word distracting when I talk about some of these things.
And I'm a reader, but like more than half of the stuff that you read from the old days, like Alice in Wonderland, for instance, Through the Looking Glass.
Yeah.
I mean, there are several reports of that guy being a pedophile.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you gonna do? Like most of
you still hear the Nutcracker
people are
theme
weird.
every single Christmas about 500 times, and Tchaikovsky was an absolute pedo.
Yeah. I don't know. What are you gonna do? I don't know what to do. Just get him out of power. I don't know.
I have no solutions. I'm just digesting this out loud. If you want to have a conversation, engage us, and we'll talk. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm heavily conflicted by the entire thing.
I have not heard it put more concisely.
I am, I'm disgusted and angered by all of this, abuse of power and all the sexual harassment and everything.
Yeah. And I feel like this is just like a conversation we're going to regurgitate in I don't know, however long it takes us to get to TV.
Anyway.
There's your teaser about what's to come.
We're moving on. Mm-hmm. Justice League fans have launched a petition for an uncut Snyder version of Justice League over at change.org. Go sign the petition if you want. I don't know that version exists. I'm pretty sure that when BVS started getting really crappy reviews, they hurry up and changed everything right as the film Justice League was about to start filming, or just starting filming. And then afterward, Snyder filmed a bunch of stuff. They all kind of went, yeah, this is still a little dark. I don't know how much of that is actually released. I'll watch it if they put it out. I don't feel compelled enough to go sign a name to anything.
I would watch it if it was available. I
will say this. Warner Brothers is a business. If there is an ultimate cut, if there is a Snyder cut to be had, they will release it.
Find a way, yeah. Maybe in the 10-year anniversary, but it'll be there. But part of me...
Yeah, some people were going oh man, it's going to be like Blade Runner, 25 years,
Yeah, that may be true. And at this point, if you're a Blade Runner fan, I'm sorry you've bought the same movie 17 times.
Yeah.
But part of me just wants to, in general, say windmills to
right.
all of that. Like, to me, first of all, it seems a little impractical that because BVS was being released at the time they started Justice League, which I think there was still like a month offset.
Somewhere in there. Yeah.
It doesn't... Like, pre-production... It's not just an attempt. Like, by the time you have your script in hand, your final script in hand, and you've sent out scenes to everybody, people are building things and already pre-CGIing certain effects, and money's already being spent by the time that script actually gets finalized. And even then, it's not finalized, but there are parts of it, the tentpole parts of a script that you start spending money on. I'm not sure how much of it can be changed on a dime like that. We're going to do one more rewrite, even though everyone's already got tickets booked for next month.
It can be changed.
It can.
It absolutely can.
The extent to which is what I'll question.
Whether or not it was so much is heavily dependent on what you believe about how extensive the reshoots with Joss were, which, admittedly, looking at the film...
Looking at the Uncanny Valley?
And looking at the Uncanny Valley, looking at the film, looking at some of the tonal shifts... I would say it was pretty extensive. But I don't know that for sure.
This is the only thing. I have no way of telling except when Henry Cavill's face looked unspeakable. So when his face... I mean, seriously, it's the stuff of nightmares.
Hey, let me tell you, though. I have talked to people, and I have seen reviews from people who did not even notice it. They did not remember anything. They didn't know anything about the mustache gate.
Mustache gate. Oh, God.
They didn't know.
What a magical world we live in.
Right? They didn't notice it. They didn't notice anything about Henry Cavill's face. They were just like, whatever.
And
that's Superman.
Bless them. But from the moment he was on screen, I thought, oh my god, did they recast him entirely?
He looked weird.
Some parts of it looked as bad as... and the reason I think about this movie sometimes is because The Matrix first one was such a like an icon, like it was like this like new high watermark of what you could do in CGI and effects in general, right? So it 1 looked great movie. 2 looked great. 3, here's where it gets weird. So there's a moment though where he's fighting like 100 agent whatever his name was, Smith. I don't know. It's been too long.
Yeah.
There's a moment where he's fighting like 100 of that Australian dude, and it just looks so bad. So bad, and like it memorably bad because I was watching this film thinking, "Oh, I expect so much more from you." And this was that moment again where I watched the film, looked at the CGI, and thought, "Oh, I expect so much more from you." Yeah. I'm like eagerly awaiting the backstory of why they couldn't get that mustache where they wanted it. Surely no one signed off on that and thought, "Man, it looks perfect. Great work. Go home tonight and you congratulate yourself."
I honestly think it was a lack of time, you know. And,
I think time and money have to be a mitigating factor here.
I want to point this out to the haters, to the people who are like angry and think that WB and Joss Whedon butchered Zack Snyder's film. According to all reports, and Snyder himself, they told Snyder he could release it in 2018 and have more time, and he said no.
I haven't seen that, but it doesn't.
We reported that. We reported it.
No, that doesn't mean I remember it.
I know. I remember it. But, you know, so if that is true, which I'm dubious about, honestly, I don't know.
But still, corroborated
but
at least.
That was the statement. That was what they said. If that's true, then Snyder should have said, no, hold on, let's hold off. You're right. Let's hold off. Because you know what? As I'm saying, if what I'm saying is true, this probably wasn't a good time to release it anyway.
Yeah, but it didn't mean... I mean, a lot of these studios are talking about time slots 2 years ahead. They're not necessarily... It didn't mean there was a better one 9, 12 months from now.
Well, I mean, we're going into 2000... We're going to be a year or more before we see Aquaman. There would have been a fine slot somewhere in there.
Not necessarily.
I
week
truly
to week,
believe.
They keep track of it pretty... It's a very detailed conversation happening between these studios on the...
Sure.
Not necessarily a better slot for at least for how long it would have taken to do it, and there's probably some calculation about how long delaying it that long would have cost them.
You know, just moving past all that, you know, if
how do we even get into that?
I'm not gonna be mad if they, you know, spend a couple extra million and just fix his face for the DVDs, for the Blu-rays. Please fix his face.
That would make me very happy. Actually, I almost would have appreciated, like in a perfect world, if it was like a time, not so much a time consideration, but if it was just like we can't pay these guys overtime to get this right. Man, if they had started like a Kickstarter, I would have pitched in.
Yeah.
If they had shown me this is what his face looks like right now, and we need this amount of money to make that not be the case, I think I would have probably thrown whatever I could at that. Now, for me, that may mean $10. Maybe that's all I've got. But I probably would have looked at that face and thought, I don't even recognize Henry Cavill. Let's do this.
Yeah, and you know what? You know, I've seen a lot of people online throwing up pictures of, like, Marvel got this right, and showing, like, Michael Douglas from Ant-Man in the flashbacks, and, like, pictures of, like, Robert Downey Jr., young Robert Downey Jr. from Civil War.
Oh, he looked weird, too.
And
don't give yourself too much credit.
Yeah, and I'm like, did they, though? Because while I will say they looked better than Cavill.
They did.
They looked freaking weird.
But they still looked uncanny valley-ish.
They looked freaking weird.
I think we got on this because we were trying to verify the fact that, like, yes, there were extensive reshoots. Because
I think that
was my entire point, I suppose, was that mustache is the only reason I have to think that there were extensive reshoots.
Yeah.
And because that mustache is my only evidence, as far as I know, or can speculate comfortably, the Superman scenes were the only ones that were reshot. It's probably not true, but
I don't think they were. I think there was a lot of other stuff that was reshot.
I think there were a lot of them. Like, in particular,
I think everything was Cyborg.
I don't think everything was cyborg at all, because they were already working on a lot of that CGI, and you could tell they had time to get it right or get it better.
Well, I mean, like action shots and stuff, but like his actual like emotions, like him actually reacting to stuff, I think was all Whedon.
That's again like we're trying to feel it out. We don't know, but same time, you want to hear my guess for which one shot would have been easy to do and felt Whedon-y and could be done in a reshoot. Again, easy to do. The one over the head shot crane pull out where it's just Batman saying, "Yep, something's bleeding."
Oh yeah, that's totally a Whedon line. That's that shot is totally a Whedon shot too.
And it's an isolated shot. One person on camera, one camera crane pull out, done. That one felt like I looked at that in the theater and thought that's like I don't want to speculate how much, but for God's sake, less than a day's worth of work.
Yeah.
That's an easy reshoot.
Maybe. All right, so Danny Elfman was, he was talking to somebody. I don't know, but I didn't look into it.
He just finds himself in strange places.
No, there was an actual thing that there was somebody he was talking to, and I just didn't pay attention to it, I guess. But he says, he was talking about working with Joss Whedon. He says, I got the call from Joss very last second. I got the call, and it was, you have to decide now and then go to work tomorrow. And he says, much of his process happened while Justice League was in reshoots. So he didn't have, he says, I had a lot of storyboards in place of action. There would be full scenes and then a 5-minute sequence of storyboards. Honestly, it was like working on an animated film. I didn't score any of the unused footage. The movie that came out of is the movie I scored. It was just in a very rough form. He says, I've only worked with Joss twice, and it's been under those circumstances. With Avengers, it was trickier because I was working around half a score. So I had to rescore either half or 2/3 of the film, and that made for a squirrely process. On Justice League, it was a blank slate. I only had to work around a Leonard Cohen song.
Oh.
Now, he also talked about using the classic themes. He says the whole concept that every time a superhero franchise is rebooted with a new director, then you have to start the music from scratch is a bullshit idea. It's only for the ego of the director or the composer. They need to learn the incredible lesson that Star Wars and James Bond have known for ages, which is that keeping these musical connections alive is incredibly satisfying for the people who see those films. There's like 4 different Spider-Man themes at this point, and as a result, he doesn't have a recognizable sound. I told the guys at DC, you have a great musical heritage that you should be proud of, and you should keep it alive, and they agreed with me, which is refreshing. I somewhat agree with him. I do agree with him.
I completely agree with him. I'm actually more curious about what you don't agree with.
Well, okay. What I don't agree with, that Hans Zimmer Lex Luthor scene should have been in the Lex Luthor scene in Justice League.
Yes, that should have.
From BVS.
That should have. The weird timpani sounding thing. Yeah.
Boom.
I agree.
There's not a better Lex Luthor thing.
If I have any objection, it's that if you had played like 3 notes from that, I would have known the reveal before Deathstroke got to that ship.
That's true. I mean, we knew the reveal anyway. We saw Deathstroke and we were like, "Oh yeah, Eisenberg is in there."
Clearly, he was out of prison. We knew he was going to be there. So
yeah.
Like, if anything, the reveal was actually. Well, the funny part was, like, you're like me too. Like, you saw the little like trailing ribbon on the back of that sword and thought, "No."
It was actually the opposite. I went, "Oh yeah."
Well,
but
that was my excited. That was my excited version of, "Oh hell no, that's fantastic." Anyway. Forgive my semantics, but I was excited.
Right. I know. I was just being a prick.
I understand.
Anyway.
I make allowances.
Yeah. It's all right.
It's all right. Yeah. I just kind of completely agree with him.
Yeah.
Just
okay.
I especially like his reference to the fact that Spider-Man has no thematic, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, he's not, there's nothing there. Like, the thing is with, I think with humans in general, we are obviously visual and auditory creatures, but I think audio sticks with us harder. Like, to me, it's just behind smell. You can have a smell that reminds you of some moment in your childhood that you thought you'd never remember again.
Yeah.
And just suddenly be there and be 6 years old and remember the day after Thanksgiving and something happened and there were leftovers being warmed up or some just incredibly specific memory that was just right then.
And sometimes I get a smell and I don't even know, like I just get a feeling, like a visceral feeling.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm thinking of. I don't know what it reminds me of.
Absolutely.
But I just have this feeling.
And
it's pretty amazing.
It's an incredible thing. But I think right behind that is audio. I think we recognize audio faster and more deeply than we do visuals. And I think that has to do with the fact that, honestly, like your eyes are always taking in 100% information, whereas every now and then audio has got a second to breathe. So just personal theory, I think your brain tends to pull visual sensory memory a little harder to the let's forget that side.
Yeah.
That being said, long theory aside, I think like themes like the Batman theme, if I was 83 losing my brain, I'm just assuming I will by 83 based on my personal family history.
Don't you mean 43?
I mean 23 if we're getting down to when I really started to see it happen. But based on my family history, I've only got about, I don't know, 3 or 4 decades before it starts to be like, what day is it? And I think at that point, if you...
You said that to me yesterday.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to end up being, like, overly tattooed. I'm going to be like a living version of Memento, but not remember what Memento is. So, if you played me the Danny Elfman theme, though, I think at whatever stage in my life, I think I would still know what it was.
Sure.
I don't know. Iconography, I don't think is as important sometimes as themes, and I like where Elfman's head is. That's my point.
Yeah. I meant to ask you, though, did you hear the Avengers theme in there?
I did not. I wasn't...
A ton of people are claiming that, like, the Heroes theme for Justice League is just the Avengers theme. And while it's kind of similar in, like, bombastic superhero, composition, I don't really hear Avengers out of it.
I didn't.
I was just curious. You're more musically inclined than I am. I was just curious.
I'm going to have to go back and listen to that now. If anything, like, there were a lot of obvious themes. Like, Batman. Yeah, Batman was extremely obvious. Wonder Woman got to keep her theme.
Superman, yeah.
Superman got to keep most of his, plus use some of the old ones. And the one that cracked me up was, it wasn't the same at all, but it was kind of the same, like, style as the Grant Gustin Flash theme.
Yeah, kind of. With a little bit of Elfman's old Flash theme worked in, a little
bit, yeah. But I'm not sure that's not a dog
like...
eating his own tail kind of thing. I think it's a snake eating his own tail. Whatever, a dog chasing his tail.
Why would a dog eat his own tail?
I don't know. I think it's a snake eating his tail and the dog chasing. Whatever, we're getting there. We're going to make it. Life's too short to deal with these kinds of things, Dave. Okay. The 90s Flash theme was around way before the CW Flash, so there's a chance that they took some inspiration from Elfman, and Elfman took some inspiration from that, or himself, or whatever cannibalistic thing I'm referring to.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, are we done with this? Can we move on?
I think so.
Are you good?
I'm good.
Cool. So, last week, there was a lot of hubbub over a supposed article saying that Gal Gadot refused to come back for Wonder Woman 2 unless Brett Ratner had... unless Warner Brothers completely severed ties with Brett Ratner. As I understand it, they already... Before that article even came out, they had already said they were, and they had. And Gal Gadot came out this week and said, Brett made a lot of money... Hold on, sorry. I started reading the wrong thing. She said, at the end of the day, a lot has been written about my views and the way that I feel, and everyone knows the way that I feel because I'm not hiding anything. But the truth is, there's so many people involved in making this movie that they all echo the same the same sentiments. Everyone knew what was the right thing to do, but there was nothing for me to actually come out and say because it was already done before this article came out. They already severed the ties. That's what I thought in the first place.
Yeah. When
everyone was like, oh, Gal Gadot's putting Warner Brothers in a tough situation. Apparently, no. They just said, no, screw that guy. Let's get rid of him. So, yeah. Moving over to... There's a rumor that Black Adam is going to be showing up in Suicide Squad 2. He's going to be, like, the big bad. The Wrap is reporting it. Said the insiders told them that the current plan for the Suicide Squad 2 is for them to be tasked with tracking down a weapon of mass destruction, Black Adam himself. I could be down with that.
I could dig that.
Absolutely.
The only
We'll see if it pans
problem
out.
I have with it is that like you have to have a false ending for Suicide Squad 2 at that point.
Yeah?
Which one's supposed to come out first? Black Adam solo or Suicide Squad 2?
I don't know.
Because if Black Adam comes out after that, it's going to be a little disheartening to go into a movie thinking, well, I know the big bad makes it out okay. Whereas if it's the other way around, extremely poignant.
Well, I mean, at some point, okay, if they're not doing Black Adam versus Shazam right up front, I'm always going to think that he makes it out okay. So I don't really give a crap.
That's fair. Well, the problem... Are you saying that, like, unless he's facing Shazam...
Right.
then he's not actually like threatened in any way, so you just assume he'll be fine?
Yeah, if it's a Black Adam film, he's not fighting Captain Marvel for real. Captain Marvel. Shazam. Whatever you guys have to
I was
tell
trying to
yourself
save
to make
time,
yourself
but
feel better.
you've backtracked on that, so I'm just going to bail on that
Right.
effort. All right, go ahead.
Right. You know, I'm an old
That's
stickler.
fine. I understand. You turn the
Okay,
faucet
if
on,
it's
buddy.
if it's a Black Adam solo film and he's not fighting Shazam, then we know he's going to make it out alive because 1, he's a protagonist, and 2, he's not fighting Shazam. If he shows up first in a Suicide Squad, really we only have to be worried about the members of the Suicide Squad, right? With no Black Adams, they got to have Black Adam fight, Shazam, and if The Rock has anything to say about it, Henry Cavill's Superman, right?
It sounds like a fair fight to me. But one of my only...
I'm just saying it's
my
not
only
one
problem.
of my
It's
big
not Black Adam's
problems.
storyline that actually bothers me. It's Black Adam's
Right.
storyline and how it would affect a Suicide Squad 2 movie, where it's like, look at these this pile of neat, slightly gifted people compared to the combined powers of the old world.
Right.
Like,
Well, I mean, they already fought the combined powers of the old world.
it's just one of the powers of the old world, at least. Like, this is like,
Yeah,
what if
I
we
don't
did the old
remember
movie,
how that worked.
but like 6 of them instead of,
Yeah.
I guess, 2? Anyway, it would be slightly a problem for me to, and that's actually, that would go into it. I hadn't thought about it, but that would eventually that would have occurred to me, I suppose, and I would be bothered by like, wait a second, didn't we do this before? Them fighting an ancient magical deity.
Yeah.
I think I'm just kind of rooting against this is my point.
Right. I don't blame you. It's weird.
I've never rooted against seeing The Rock in something.
You know what? I rooted against it, and I don't know how to pronounce this name, but The Rock came out and said, "I'm excited to expand the DC universe with writer Adam Zatekiel, I guess. Zatekiel, I don't know. This is the cat that co-wrote Rampage, the movie." And bring this complex and gritty anti-hero to the big screen. This character's in my bones, ruthless code, #Neil, #Black Adam. I have no interest in seeing anyone that contributed to to Rampage beyond Dwayne Johnson.
All right, in all fairness,
Involved in
we
anything.
haven't seen it.
We haven't.
I don't want to put that
It
in
looks
past.
bad, though.
I mean, it does, but and this is the best comparison I have. I have always been a huge fan of the movie Lake Placid. Not proud of it, but I watched it like 6 times,
shouldn't be.
and I enjoyed it every time. That was where I fell in love with Oliver Platt.
Next up on DC on Screen, we get a new co-host.
And reinvigorated my love for Betty White.
Well, that might be fair.
it's entirely fair.
All right, let's just move on from that. I don't know what to say about that man.
Just saying. Movie about giant things isn't necessarily the worst thing that ever happened.
Right. Oh no, I'm actively looking forward to Pacific Rim Uprising.
Actually, I'll bet
just-
if we did like a story structure breakdown,
You're
they're
probably about the
same
same,
film. Like Pacific Rim 1 and Rampage are probably very similar.
Like, but Guillermo, Jason.
Yeah, it was a pretty straightforward movie, though.
Yeah.
I
All
love
right,
Charlie Day
so-
as much as anyone, but
Yeah. All right, so there's a big question on everybody's minds. Will Ben Affleck be the Batman after Justice League?
or has he done been the Bat?
Yeah. You know, there's a new rumor, though, that comes out from Latino Review reporter Mario Francisco Robles, and he says that the Batman will not be a prequel or a reboot. It will be set after the events of Justice League, but he also says, according to an unnamed source, that Jake Gyllenhaal is apparently going to be the guy that Matt Reeves wants when Ben Affleck decides not to come back. John Campea, who is markedly notable for shitting all over the DCEU and presenting unsubstantiated rumors, also said, though, that Jake Gyllenhaal was in the running to pop into Matt Reeves' Batman movie if Ben Affleck decides to bow out.
So at this point, you're using him as a mitigating factor to point out when something is a rumor, or an unsubstantiated rumor.
I am.
I don't disagree with you.
Yeah,
I've been
but,
following
you know,
the name along with you, and
The only thing
seems to be a
that I
bit
feel
trollish.
like, I will say this: the only thing that I feel is an actual rumor is the Jake Gyllenhaal portion. I think Ben Affleck is done. I think he's been done. Now, I mean, they're saying that like John Campea says that like Affleck has been done since like February. He's been out. And we'll get to something in a minute that talks more about that. Some of the stuff Ben Affleck's been doing, but Geoff Johns did confirm tonight that Batman is in Flashpoint.
I did actually see that somewhere.
He says there's elements in Flashpoint
insofar
that we're going
as
to be.
Flashpoint is decided upon at all.
Yeah,
I feel like Flashpoint is the perfect. It's the perfect time to reference the fact that in the CW verse, time isn't concrete.
Mm-hmm.
It does feel very quicksandy, that film.
Yeah. Johns, though, says there's elements in Flashpoint that we're going to be playing into that we couldn't do anywhere else. The scale of it, the Batman story of it all. So, hell yeah.
Oh, well,
I'd
see,
like to
that
see
sounds very Thomas Wayne-y in a way.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan is very, very weird about the entire thing.
Oh, he's
whenever
been
asked about
shipping
it,
himself onto that film for a while. And
Oh,
I have
absolutely.
no problems
we
with
all
that
have
whatsoever.
Yeah, we all have been.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
So yeah, but the movie being developed by Matt Reeves, it was asked if Ben Affleck, I almost called him Batman. That should tell you something about where I'm at in my mind. But
He's done a great
someone
job.
asked Ben Affleck if he's still going to be doing those movies, and they were like, "Come on, can we at least get like five performances as Batman?" You know, and you know, he's like, "I don't know about that." He did say leaving. He says, you know, the Matt Reeves movies is something I'm contemplating. You don't do it forever, so I want to find a graceful and cool way to segue out of it. That would be Flashpoint.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, who knows? He seems really weird about it. He told the guy from the interviewer from Extra TV, "We'll see what the future holds," and that might just be because, you know, he's sort of, well, you know, they might not want me after Justice League. Or maybe he's a little ahead of some sort of sexual harassment thing that's about to come out again. I don't know.
Possibly.
Who knows anymore? But
part of me thinks I don't know if it's going to actually. I think he's going to end up being. Like on his feet after all this.
no.
But I'm just guessing.
Well, all the clickbait says that you know, they have this headline out there. Ben Affleck says playing Batman wasted years of his life. But here's the truth of that. He was on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, and they were talking about Affleck's son Sam. And he says he was, you know, thrilled that I was playing Batman, and we were starting up the publicity thing again, and it was coinciding with Halloween, and he came to me and said, "Dad, I have a costume that I want more than anything." And I was like, I have some connections. And he's like, and he said, I want to be the Flash. So there you go. Turned out it wasn't worth it. The whole thing. Years of my life wasted.
See, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah. Now, what's not fantastic? No, we're getting back to that. The dark side of the moon here, man. There was a press tour thing where they were talking to a reporter, and she asked what heroes they would all like to see in the next Justice League movie. And they all start, oh, we need more women in the movie, blah, blah, blah. Someone brings up I think it was Ben brings up Black Canary. And then makes a crass joke about them fishnets, which makes everyone really uncomfortable. And even Ray Fisher's like, well, yeah, but okay. And then they start just naming people. And, then they...
Ben.
And the lady, the journalist, asks, "What would you get up to with these new characters or whatever?" And Ben goes, "Are you following the news at all?" And then I don't know. I guess that's supposed to be like an implication about all the sexual harassment crap going on. And Affleck laughed at his own joke, and everyone just kind of glared at him annoyed, except for Gal Gadot, who laughed nervously.
Oh, that's rough.
It was really bad. It was really bad.
That is a rough scene.
And Ray Fisher just trying desperately to try to get the interview back on track, trying to
bless
rein
you,
it
Ray.
in, and oh man, it was bad. Even Henry Cavill with his big Mission Impossible mustache is just behind Affleck and just looking at him like, you son of a bitch.
It sounds like after they actually walked off, out of camera view, everyone took turns, what is that thing where you just raise one knuckle and pop somebody on a muscle, frogging them or something?
Yeah.
Everyone just...
That's not frogging, but yeah.
Whatever that is. Just everyone just pops him in the same spot. It feels like everyone should walk out of there and just be like, oh, you dick, and just pop him in the back of a tricep or something.
Yeah, that's one of the things that makes me think he's out. He just doesn't care anymore.
See,
but
to me that doesn't he can't.
I'll be honest.
I hate to speculate again at a personal level, but
my emotions tying to Ben Affleck in the role have dissipated. I dig him in the role, but I'm not sure. I think it might be better if they just recast and got rid of Ben. He's being a dick.
Possibly. Although, to some extent, that sounds like... it sounds like someone just vastly misinterpreting how to deal with something, but...
I mean, yeah, maybe. But at the same time, he's hurting the brand, and his constant back and forth... And I don't know if it's because he's hearing things and people are like, well, we don't know if we want to keep you around because of X, Y, and Z. Or if it's, him just being really bored with it and being like, I'm not really sure what I want to do. Either way, his responses during these interviews and his lack of wanting to actually commit to doing a good press tour, they're disheartening, and he kind of just needs to either straighten up or get the hell out. Just bottom line, he's not doing anybody any favors.
I agree. I think I agree with you outright on that one. I kind of wish they would just Batman him to some extent. Just throw him in a box. We're not bringing him on tours anymore. Ben's busy with some other projects. He can't be here for this. He's very excited. But he's working on some independent projects right now that take him away from being able to do the press tour. And then we see him on screen and think, oh, man, that's a great Batman. And then we go back and we just forgive him for the fact that, 2 months worth of press about how he's absent would do way less damage right now than 2 months worth of press where he's there doing stupid shit.
Yeah, and I'm frustrated because,
better
all
to be
of this...
silent and thought an idiot thing sometimes?
Yeah. Absolutely. But it's I'm kind of looking at it in the big picture sense. I'm going like, what is Warner Brothers doing that like they don't understand? It's like everybody they hire doesn't understand how to do a thing. It's like Zack Snyder's over here like giving away secrets. Like, yeah, I haven't seen that film, and you got like Ben Affleck joking about like, oh, we got to have them fishnets or whatever. It's like, do you know? Have you been following the news, Ben? What the hell?
It just sounds like
why would you say that?
It sounds like the joke of someone who's like so up to their neck in a topic that to them it's becoming kind of not even funny, but like funny in a hysterical way where you're fighting it with humor.
Yeah. And then to top it off, we've got Joss Whedon over here who's liking derivative tweets about the movie.
Now I still think he's trolling.
And not doing any press at all for the movie.
He doesn't do a lot of press.
It's just all so
though.
Weird. It's so weird.
Like, Joss Whedon is not a social butterfly.
I'm not sure that's completely true.
Well, to say he's not invigorated by the idea of doing any kind of press, I think I can pretty much justify that one.
I've been a fan of his long enough. I've seen him do plenty of press and happily.
He has done plenty, and I think when he wants to do it, he's happy to do it. But like, if he doesn't feel like coming out of his shell, that dude turtles up.
Yeah. Well, anyway, maybe not. I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with you, but whatever. I'm just kind of annoyed. I'm just kind of annoyed by all of these people right now, by Ben, by Joss, and by Snyder.
I think if we were covering anything else, you wouldn't be as annoyed, just as a byproduct of the fact that like these things are so scrutinized.
Yeah. I mean, I'm most annoyed by Ben, honestly.
Yeah. What's the funniest part is like he might have gotten away with this on another movie, but on this movie, like that's one of the things he's expressed some, a little bit of pain in the ass about before is you can't go do press for some other movie you're doing in between, Justice League and the Batman. Doesn't matter what you do, you're going to be asked about the Batman.
Yeah.
That's who you are now.
Oh man, I felt so bad. Matt Reeves tweeted a thing and it had nothing to do with anything DC related. And everyone who replied to him said, "Is Ben Batman? Please keep Ben as Batman. Please keep Ben as Batman. Is Ben going to be Batman?" Like, it was just pages long.
That's rough. I mean,
I would quit Twitter if I was him.
I understand. I would totally get his back.
Anyway, Henry Cavill was being interviewed by the LA Times. Looks like he's
we're still in Justice League.
Yes. That was most of the news, honestly.
Oh, I mean, I figured, but...
Yeah. Henry Cavill was being interviewed by the LA Times. It looks like he's under contract for at least one more appearance as Superman. He says there's a wonderful opportunity to tell the Superman story. Now there is a fantastic chance to show Superman in his full colors and tell a very complex, character-driven story, or a movie that is based on story and have that wonderful sensation of hope and happiness. A feel-good movie with lessons laced in there as well. And I want a really good Superman movie, absolutely. And I like Henry Cavill in the role. I don't want him to go anywhere. No. So I'm all on board for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, importantly, though, Charles Roven, not that he has any real say-so over what actually gets greenlit at WB or not, but Charles Roven, producer,
he's not like
was talking
on-site producer. He's just a producer,
right?
In general,
he was talking to comic book resources that says and they asked what's the most unusual property in the DC toy box that you would love to bring to film. Maybe not a marquee character, but a deeper dive choice. Roven says, I wouldn't necessarily say that I would rather do that character because we know that there is going to be a Flash movie. We know that Aquaman is being done. I know that Cyborg deserves his own movie too, and I know that the fans are out there screaming for Green Lantern, that's for sure. But I was always a fan of John Jones, Manhunter from Mars.
Well, Roven, you won my heart.
I'm not sure Cyborg deserves his own movie.
I think he does. Well, in the light
I would be very disinterested to see it.
Nah,
unless they just knocked it out of the park with the trailer or something.
I think you can make this work. It like for you and I, it's never been a character that we're super excited about.
Well,
but honestly, part of me is just like I really love the idea philosophically about Man and Machine, but when I actually see it interpreted, I either just need a Twilight Zone episode or like Data, and I'm fine.
Yeah. Demon with the glass hand. A little bit of Outer Limits action. Harlan Ellison. Just rub that on your sci-fi geek soul.
Or that new Outer Limits episode, or the the new run of Outer Limits, I'll call it. It's not new now,
right.
but like that
No.
modern run.
The quote-unquote modern run from the late 90s.
Yeah.
The
Or like
Sand Kings and Bo Bridges.
Spock defending that one android. Like I feel like I've seen a lot of this before to some extent. But that being said, you know, I giggled when he said "booyah." I like the character.
Sure.
It just, if you told me you were going to do John Jones instead, I'd be like, well, that sounds fine too. Let's do that.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, we've gotten a fairly thorough take on Manhunter over in Supergirl, so I don't feel like I'm missing out. Like, that's kind of something that I'm really appreciative of in the sense that they haven't just pretended to do one universe like MCU is. And come on, if you want to fight me on that, bring it on. Like, instead of just pretending it is, they've just DCU has apparently, or Warner Brothers has apparently over time just settled in this idea that no, we're doing separate universes and we're not going to tie them in, and that's what we're doing. And to that extent, like, if you can have a Martian Manhunter tooth, mine has been sweetened.
Yeah.
Hair was doing a fine job.
Yeah. You know what? I'll be honest. I love Martian Manhunter. And I enjoy Cyborg from time to time. But, you know, if they said, hey, you could have a Martian Manhunter in a Cyborg movie, or a Blue Beetle in a Booster Gold movie.
Oh, hands down.
Yeah, imagine that scene from Seinfeld where the fire starts and George is knocking over women and children, old ladies, to get out of the apartment. Except replace the old ladies and the children and the women with Cyborg and Martian Manhunter. And I am knocking these people over to get out, to get to the Blue Beetle and Booster Gold. Yeah.
I'm not sure where you're going with that, but okay, I got it.
Yeah, just...
For a second, I thought you meant that Booster would knock over everyone to get out of a place. I was like, well, that's not quite accurate. Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah. Just, I would sacrifice several DC movies to see I would probably sacrifice a Nightwing movie.
Ooh.
I would probably sacrifice a Nightwing movie
Those
to
are
see a
tough words
Booster
from
Gold and Booster Gold.
Tough words from you, man. I know you love Nightwing.
I mean, what are we going to do? Like Batman Light? I mean, come on. Yeah, I want to see a Nightwing movie. Absolutely. Absolutely, I want to see that. But I want to see Booster Gold and Blue Beetle more. I just do. It's such a weird choice. It's such a funny duo if they do it right.
I completely agree. This is one of those where you're faced with a hard choice, and I support you either way.
I mean, those characters have gotten short shrift, period. Like, we've seen plenty of Nightwing on screen at this point.
There's a lot of it, yeah.
But, you know, whatever. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, they're going to do a Nightwing. It's going to be Chris McKay, and I have a feeling I'm going to love it anyway. So, you know, I mean, it's just...
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that one.
Semantics on what I would prefer.
Sure.
You know, what I would give up for what. But, you know, I don't need any negative feedback for that. All right, so apparently Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy is going to get a 4K release, and Christopher Nolan is going to be...
I mean, some of those were shot for IMAX.
Sure, and you know, I mean, Chris Nolan was like, "Oh yeah, I mean, you know, with movies, you know, you get at least 6K, and when we shoot it, and 18K for IMAX, so you know, I'm happy to see 4K coming." Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. I didn't write down the quote. I just kind of remember most of what the general idea was.
That'll work.
And he's actually overlooking all of these 4K releases. It's going to be some of his own films as well. Prestige, Inception, Interstellar, Dunkirk. It's coming out Tuesday, December 19th. And something we were talking about earlier, and we seem to touch on it every episode. Doctor Strange co-writer, what is his name? Cargill? I don't know his full name.
No
I
idea.
Write that down because I'm stupid. And I'm a bad host.
Close enough.
But he says important sidebar. because I feel this needs to be mentioned. I co-wrote the Marvel movie Doctor Strange, and there persists this idea out there bouncing around social media that the long-time war between fans of DC and Marvel comics somehow carries over to those who make and distribute them. It does not. When it comes to comic book movies, a rising tide lifts all boats.
Mm-hmm.
When something like Deadpool catches everyone off guard and makes a dump truck of money, the industry does not shudder and spit bile with jealousy. It does backflips. Great comic book movies make people hungry for more comic book movies. Bad comic book movies make people talk about getting burnt out on them. So, do I want Justice League to be good and succeed? No. I want it to rock my face off and make several dump trucks of money, just like Wonder Woman did. Because I want to see and maybe even make a hell of a lot more a lot more great comic book movies.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, no, I've got his back 100%. It has it has never really been the readers, yeah, but not the creators. I mean, the creators used to jump between Marvel and DC depending on who gave them a better contract.
Yeah,
I mean, Jack Kirby is like a substantial part of both universes.
Mm-hmm. And Brian Michael Bendis just jumped from Marvel to DC. His contract went up, and he decided to move over to DC.
Exclusively so.
Yeah, and I'm not even happy about that, because I don't even really care for Bendis.
But the point remains.
He's all right. He's had some good stuff out there. It's kind of exciting. I'm interested to see what he's going to bring. Then again, I didn't like Ultimate Spider-Man. Whatever.
I do kind of like Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh, there you go. So we have some feedback.
Mm-hmm.
We're done with the movie news. We have some feedback. We got a new iTunes review, and in the interest of being fair, it is a negative review.
Let's do this.
As happens whenever there's a movie that comes out.
Honestly,
let's
if it's only one,
yeah,
it'll be under par. Go ahead.
Yeah. So subject line: delusional.
Oh, I like where he's headed.
By Blanketsburg. Oh, he doesn't have like a real thought. The actual review is they thought Justice League was the best thing since sliced bread. Apostrophe, nuff said. That's some old Stan Lee shit right there. But that's fine. I don't know where this guy's coming from, or girl, or whoever this is.
I understand the Stan Lee thing, but I haven't read this, so without editorials, what do you got?
What I have is they obviously didn't listen to the full review, because we mentioned from the get-go that this is not a perfect movie. It's a flawed movie. We had issues with the movie. I think we just chose to enjoy the hell out of the movie instead of like picking it apart necessarily. I mean, it's pick-apartable. Every movie is. But, I wouldn't call us delusional. We are aware of the problems inherent in the film. Importantly, though, they got the characters right. Yes, the villain was shit. Yes, he looked like shit. Yes, Henry Cavill's face looked like shit. The editing was weird. But I liked it. Sorry.
That's pretty well encapsulated. Is that all he said?
Yep, that's it.
That's it. I was really hoping there was some expounding.
Nope.
How many stars did that net us?
You know what? I don't know, because Feedly doesn't tell us, and I don't have iTunes on my computer. I've got it on my tablet, and I didn't feel like it was worth looking.
I'm gonna guess less than 3. I'm gonna go with less than 50% on that one.
But if you'd like to, go over to iTunes, for those of you who, even if you don't agree with us, think we're okay guys, pop over and give us some positivity.
Want to be supportive on
please.
Jeez. On a personal level.
All right, so we're gonna move on. Rob over on or at Speculum Fight on Twitter says, "I hope the score works. It doesn't scream creativity to use the 30-year-old theme. I'm not really feeling what I've heard so far. I have the CD and vinyl pre-ordered, though. I really hope the score works out and blows me away." I hope it did. I haven't heard back from Rob on whether it did. But I do like the mentality. Like, he wasn't feeling it, but he still pre-ordered the CD and the vinyl.
That's the part that stands out is dude,
yeah.
I've got to give you points for commitment here. I was bitching earlier about how I don't like buying the $30 Blu-ray. And you've pre-ordered what must be about $70 worth of materials.
Yeah, and I always love that name. I laugh every time I see his name.
What's the name again?
Well, he goes by Rob, but his actual Twitter handle is Speculum Fight.
Nice.
As it is on Instagram.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I noticed.
I hope I hope that works out for you. I really do. I didn't notice any problems with the score. I'm not. Here's one of the things. Like that is a rough argument to even get into. Like, if something's 30 years old musically, is it nostalgic? Is it honoring it? Or is it cheating to go back to it? That's a whole freaking conversation, man.
I think it depends on the intention.
Even that's an entirely different conversation.
I think it depends on the intention, and to be honest, let's look at the truth of the matter. WB has had their biggest problem has not really been what the tone was or what the story was. Because Marvel does shitty plots about every other movie. Let's just be fair. They have plot holes and shit, and it's fine. No one blinks an eye because it's fun. It's fun, and we want to like it.
I don't think it's that. It's not that straightforward. They're not shitty plots. They're just rote. Like some of the plots that Marvel's dealing with, same as some of the plots that DC's dealing with, are the same plots that we've been dealing with since language was invented.
Yeah, okay, but that's not that's not what I'm trying to get hung up on here.
I understand.
My point is, Marvel, what they're dealing with is like a fresh take on the characters. It's like the first iteration of these characters for so many people outside of the comics.
Sure.
One of the big problems for Warner Brothers is a lot of these characters have previous iterations. Like, there's still people every day I sign into Twitter and I see somebody bitching that Grant Gustin isn't on the big screen. Get the hell over it, dude. But you know what?
Never gonna happen. You
That's
gotta
fine.
live with this world.
But one of the big, but when you start thinking about like how music affects us, which is something we've talked about in this episode previously, when you start looking at that, I think it totally makes sense for WB and Danny Elfman to go, you know what, we need these classic themes to try to make people feel like these are the characters that they fell in love with. These are the characters that they, grew up on, even if they're kind of not in every way. I think they're not wrong about that.
Even that.
I don't think it's laziness. I think it's like, please like us. This is the thing you like.
No, I think it's yeah. Even
there are just too many iterations.
Like a fun argument between like, is it okay to reminisce about something, and then is it okay to reminisce about something for a paycheck? And where do we draw the line between nostalgia and cheap gimmickry? Like, I
mean, there's a group out there that I've run across, and they're
to me,
small,
philosophically, you're bringing up a ton of points that are like worth their own hour.
Sure. But I mean, there's a group out there that's like, while they're admittedly small, they are ferocious in their belief that they hate Henry Cavill because Brandon Routh didn't get a fair shake. I mean, Superman Returns was the first thing they ever saw of Superman. There are people who are pissed that Dean Cain never got a fair shake. He got 4 seasons.
He was fine.
Actually, by the way, did you see that picture of Brandon Routh and Dean Cain on the plane together?
I didn't.
They ran into each other on a plane, and Brandon Routh took a picture of like 2 Supermen go into a plane or something like that. It was funny.
Please tell me they stood in the middle of the aisle and held up the ceiling of the plane as though they were keeping it afloat.
They did not. They just sat in their seats and looked confused, which was
okay. That's good too.
Accurate for those 2.
That's good too. But if I had been there,
I like both of them, but they are not nearly the first person that comes to mind when I think of Superman.
Like, you remember the Supergirl shot from, like, did you get to see the last couple weeks? Like, Supergirl, like, holding up the plane from the inside kind of thing? It cracks over, and she's got to grab Alex and all that stuff. Like, like, flying from the inside of it, the whole thing. That's where I would have gone with it.
All right, Matthew Salvatore on Twitter says, Snyder versus Joss, XL versus Elfman versus Zimmer, reshoots, runtime, and now the score. I'm sure I've missed at least 2 more conflicts about this movie. Unreal. Absolutely childish. We are getting a Justice League movie. Just enjoy it. It is killing the Justice League vibe. I mostly agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we should throw away our need for a good movie and our expectation that it should be a good movie but I also don't think is nearly as bad as people are acting like.
No, and I don't want to. What is it called? Pollyanna.
Yeah.
I don't want to Pollyanna anything. Is that a verb now? Can I use it as a verb?
I don't think I've heard it as a verb, but you might as well be the one to start that.
Okay. I don't want to Pollyanna anything, but yeah, but I really like where he's coming from.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
It really is. Just on a personal level, it is super frustrating to just
your feelings are your feelings, and you know, if you are that damn disappointed in this movie, I feel for you, and I'm really sorry. There are elements that I'm really I wish there had been more to that the floating rocks from Dawn of Justice, but it looks like Batman just zapped him back to life. I like to think he was maybe even just in a coma, and he just needed a little extra push to get out of that casket and get into the sunlight or whatever, so that he could heal appropriately.
Right.
That's what I'm headcanoning. Again, we're back to headcanon, which is where we started having issues with this shit in the first place back in our Man of Steel review, if you want to go check that out.
Actually, I don't have we pointed that out yet? That this is the least headcanon we've had to actually use?
I mean, yes and no. I mean, when we start digging into this, when we actually get like a home video version of this and we actually dig into it, we're going to have some headcanon.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot. But, on his face, the characters were right, and that's the most I care about. Even though I do kind of wish I could, I had some, I had, like, just a Zack Snyder version of this movie where, like, for real, where I found out, like, what was he going for in the first place? Out of just sheer curiosity, because I've seen the other two movies.
That's just esoteric for me. Like, I'd like to see it, just academically. Also, let me retract that. I think Wonder Woman was at least as coherent as this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have to use about the same amount of headcanon to make any of it work.
Maybe. Jonathan Vargas at Joni the Mooney on Twitter says, score is great. People got spoiled to think that Zimmer's generic string ostinatos and horns of doom are superhero music. Elfman brought a real thematic identity and made homages to old and new themes from the DC scores. I can see what you're saying, bud. I do. I'm on record as not being the biggest Hans Zimmer's fan. I do like the Elfman stuff more, honestly. That being said, I did miss a few of the themes from BVS in this movie. So, again, I'm torn. I ride on that fence with pride. A large crease in my crotch from riding that fence.
Fair enough.
Gerald Edwards at G_Edwards_2 on Twitter says, I have been listening to you all for a year, and I enjoy catching your podcast while I'm at work. Even though I disagree with Danny Elfman saying that his Batman theme is the only theme for the Batman, I can't wait to hear his score in Justice League. And he never followed up with us to let us know what he thought of it. So, Gerald, what do you think, bud? What did you think? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Have you stopped listening to us because we're delusional?
Possible.
I don't know. Marcelo Paradella at Bola Puck, maybe Pucc, on Twitter says, I've seen the movie, even the Wonder Woman thing got more epic with Elfman. I'm not sure that was true. I really like that Wonder Woman theme, honestly. But yeah,
it did feel.
It was good.
It felt different, but I don't know. It may have just that visual of her standing on Lady Justice might have been enough to kind of like ramp it up in a way.
Mm-hmm. Rick Story, Old Man Rick 68 over on Twitter says, love the movie. What's up with that opening scene though? Everything else made me smile. Yeah, that opening scene was weird. I got what they were going for and I liked that, but his face was weird. The uncanny valley of it all.
Alright, the uncanny valley part, yes. I thought it was a good sentiment. Like, the thing that I liked about it was that the sentiment they actually presented in that opening scene, it, like, made a promise to me about where the movie would get me. And I kind of appreciated it. Now, yes, his face looked like hell. We've established that. But it really, like, it
still looked better than even Injustice and Injustice 2. Superman, who I'm not sure what I would say he looks like now in Injustice 2, but in Injustice 1 he looked like B.J. Novak from The Office.
He actually did look more. Actually, what was the? Is it Max Headroom? Max Headroom.
Yeah.
Like if you put him in the same chamber that, like Jeff Goldblum's The Fly went into, like if you Cronenberged Tim Daly and Max Headroom, I think you get Injustice 1 Superman.
Yeah.
I don't
he looked
know
weird.
how to Cronenberg this particular one, but yes, it was distracting. I feel like that's like the multiply we have to have outside the parentheses for us talking about this entire movie.
Right.
Yes, that mustache looked weird. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do about that. But I did like the fact that it did. Like, it made a promise to me about how this is going to be like a character that kids look up to.
Yeah.
And I really liked that.
Yeah. So also, Rick goes on to say, really enjoyed the DC On-Screen review of Justice League. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
He says, you guys sounded like two giddy schoolgirls, and rightfully so. I would have loved to catch it live, but you did a fantastic job. Thank you so much for saying that. Those are nice things.
They were. Seriously, I got like 3 hours sleep that night. I mean, the next day at work was absolute hell. It was bad.
Yeah, but admittedly, you just couldn't go to sleep because you liked the movie so much.
Yes. No, it wasn't the workload. It was like, I was super excited.
Yeah. Randy at RandySF45 on Twitter says, thoroughly enjoyed Justice League and was my son's favorite movie of the year. Pro, gave us the heroes we hoped for since Man of Steel. Con, first part of the movie looked rushed. Hope we can see an extended version on Blu-ray. Everybody is hoping for that except for Jason.
Can I? All right, here's the messed up part. I'm sorry, I completely detached from this podcast for a second.
Uh-huh.
My wife just brought me like the complete Christmas collection of the Beatles on vinyl.
What?
She just like wandered into the room and sat that on my desk.
Wow. That's pretty great.
So I'm gonna have to listen to that pretty immediately. But you were saying a thing. I'm sorry, it was very distracting.
Oh, okay. I was just making fun of you. That was it.
I can deal with that.
Don't worry about it.
And I assume whatever.
Randy said he hoped we see an extended version. I said everybody hopes that but Jason.
Yep, I'm caught up now. Yep. Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
I heard laughter, but I was just thinking like, oh my god, I've got to
Gotcha.
listen to all this.
Uh-huh. All right, so
Well, really, I was
mentioned
looking
earlier
like
that
one
we-
track. I'm like, I haven't heard you. All right, anyway, go ahead.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
We were mentioning. I mentioned congratulations on your Beatles Christmas things.
It's a very. I'm very happy right now. Go ahead.
I know. I'm gonna have to get with your wife just so she like gives you something like that every time, like right before every show, just so you get in a good mood.
I'm great. Can I mention I love my wife right now?
Yeah.
Because that's a
Absolutely.
real thing.
Absolutely.
Pretty happy. That's some nice like Sgt. Pepper's looking Beatles on the background. Anyway, all right, we should get back
Yeah.
to the thing
Yep.
we're doing. We
Absolutely.
haven't touched TV.
All right. No, we haven't touched TV. Like I said before, we have reviews on Facebook now. Jonathan Lynette reviewed and gave us 5 stars. Said, David and Jason are great. This is on Facebook. I don't know if I said that. Maybe I did. But
I think you did.
he says, David and Jason are great guys. I was lucky enough to win their first giveaway contest and earned my daughter her first comic book. I look forward to their podcast every week and enjoy their takes and opinions on DC film and TV. Keep up the awesome work, DC on screen. Thank you, buddy.
Yes. Also, super glad he's safe, and on a sports
Yeah.
level, congratulations.
I don't know what that means.
You don't need to know, Dave.
It's all right. I don't care to know. But what I do care about is that picture of his daughter holding that Superman book that we got.
Oh, it's nice.
And oh my gosh, bring a tear to my eye. Bring a tear to my eye every time I see it. Bring a tear to my time.
Every time your time has to deal with a tear.
J. Scott St. Clair reviewed us on the Facebook page, gives us 5 stars, says consistently entertaining and well-made podcast from some honest and earnest fans. Thank you Thank you very much indeed. Pen Hollow also reviewed us, gave us 5 stars, and said, I love DC on Screen. Look forward to it every week. Dave and Jason are the best dudes, always giving love. This is Deej Pen Hollow of the Nerd Talkalypse podcast, of course. Long-time listener, Sherman Smith on Facebook tells us, just saw Justice League. Good movie. If the heroes' characterizations are done well and the story is done well, it doesn't matter if the movie had a stock villain. I don't think Diana was objectified at all. Even Daredevil would comment on how hot she looks. That doesn't take anything away from her skill set or her intelligence, though. She is an attractive lady.
It's not. It's almost it's like it's not worth commenting on, like, the fact that she's an attractive person. That goes unsaid.
Yeah. I didn't see the objectifications, honestly, in the movie. I just didn't. But, if that's what you saw and you want to be angry about it, God bless. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
I mean, explain it to me.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people tell me, like, well, look at the crotch shots and the ass shots, and I'm like, yes, but I saw a lot of those on other people as well, like men. So,
I keep thinking. Actually, let me make a prediction. Wouldn't it be Honest Trailers that does this? Where, like, I think there's going to be some moment where Honest Trailers mentions that this was really just a movie about, what do they call it? Like the superhero knee bend shot. It's like the thing that Deadpool was making fun of. Like, oh, she's going to do the superhero drop or whatever it was.
Right.
Like, there was an amount of those in the movie that I kind of thought, okay, come on. Did we not have a quota? There wasn't a max amount. Like, especially when they're getting off that ship the first time, where it's like every one of them does it, and there's almost like a 2-second delay. Like, that was was actually a pull-out moment for me. Where I was like, okay, this is weird. Why do we, like, everyone just hopped off that ship in costume?
I wondered if they, like, changed Cavill from having a shirt on to being shirtless just for the notion of, like, trying to distract people from his awful face.
No, it wasn't that calculated. It was more magical. They just assumed he should have his shirt off. because
and they weren't
because
wrong.
That was the right way for the world to exist. Just so happened about the mustache.
Right. So look, I'm sure we missed some feedback. We got a lot of feedback this week, and a lot of it was just absolutely handled completely on Twitter. And I wouldn't want to recount those entire conversations or anything. But if we missed you and we hadn't responded to you, I'm sorry. We had a lot of feedback as well on our live review on Facebook. So, but keep writing to us. You'll get a response, most likely, even if it's just in the form of a like or a heart.
Sure. Unless it's on that particular video, probably not gonna catch it.
Yeah, that's just crazy. We had over 100 comments on that video.
It was nice.
Anyway, if you're not following the television stuff, or you don't want to be spoiled on something over there, we'll say goodbye now. We're on Twitter at DC On Screen. We're on Facebook, DC On Screen Podcast. You can look for us there. Search for that. And you can call us 205-259-6331 to leave us a voicemail. And if we might not be back next week. We've got some stuff coming up in our personal lives. And I'm not sure if we're going to do a Saturday show or Sunday show, or if we're just not going to do a show altogether. But Monday is booked, basically.
Yeah. We normally do it Monday.
The week after, if not.
We might be able to work it out. Come on, it's a holiday. We're having trouble here. Bear with us.
All right, over to DC TV news. Starting off with the Arrowverse. Awful news, obviously. I'm sure everyone's heard about it already, but we'll recap it briefly. Andrew Kreisberg has been suspended over harassment allegations. Supergirl and Flash EP, Andrew Kreisberg, that is. And this came pretty immediately after a report described a detailed history of harassment from the producer. 19 women have spoken out about the behavior. That includes unwanted touching, massage requests, unwanted kissing, among other things. There was even a report that maybe he wanted Melissa Benoist to come in because she was like nude in some show.
Homeland.
Was it Homeland?
Yeah.
Is that right?
The way, I think it's Variety. The way they report it, it sounds like it's like a premium cable show, and the person's topless, and Kreisberg is talking to another male producer at the time, and the other guy came on, and it just sounds a little like. It sounds a lot like it was Benoist that they were talking about. Is like the reason she got the audition was because he had seen her topless. Like the whole thing's just freaking grimy and creepy. And off-putting.
Yeah.
Because, according to the reports, apparently he's just a creep, and we're going to have to deal with that.
Yep. But yeah, so all of the women reported a steady output of sexualized commentary. They said there was a, quote, toxic feeling when Kreisberg was around. Warner Brothers says they are conducting an investigation. One producer claims that she went to a, quote, high-level producer at Berlanti Productions with her concerns over his behavior, and says that after her report, quote, nothing happened. Nothing changed. According to Variety, sources close to Berlanti had denied that he had any awareness of the matter, and that he certainly would have reacted had he known. Kreisberg has denied any inappropriate behavior ever occurred. In the wake of this matter, Greg Berlanti and Sarah Schechter, heads of Berlanti Productions, have held mandatory meetings with all staffers while they've been filming in Vancouver. According to Variety, in these meetings, it appears Berlanti regrets not doing more about the problem before it came to this. They are also trying to stress to their teams that this is a safe environment and that they will be supported if they come forward with information about harassment. One staffer said, it seems like they're committed to repairing the damage that's been done, but in some ways it feels like too little too late. Another added, until action is taken, according to HR, seems like a fool's errand. I want to believe the process can work, but I'm just not sure it can. I have to see evidence of it first in the form of him being gone permanently. Benoist, Emily Bett Rickards, Grant Gustin, Katie Lotz, Stephen Amell, and several others have all given lengthy statements in support of the victims. Now, Benoist, Kyler Lee, Candace Patton, Danielle Panabaker, Katie Lotz, Maisie Richardson Sellers, Tala Ashe, Emily Bett Rickards, and Juliana Harkavy and Katie Cassidy have combined forces to create Shauthority, an online global collective with the goal of creating a positive, inspirational space. They aim to create a positive place for women and the feminine to inspire, empower, and share. The actresses have been sharing their stories on the platform to try to cultivate sharing on the platform. If you want to help, they are selling t-shirts, the proceeds of which will help expand the platform. And also go to Girls Inc., a nonprofit organization that serves girls ages 6 to 18. But yeah, there's a lot of crap going on out there, man. Yeah. A lot of people, like even Sliced Alone is under fire for it. A lot of people being called out now.
Yeah. No, I mean
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that's a thing that's not okay anymore. But three things. One, Girls Inc. My wife has actually been involved with that on several occasions. That's a legit.
Mm-hmm.
That's a legit institution. If you want to help it out, please do. Two, the T-shirt they're making cracked me up because it's like all of the starlets that are involved.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Shauthority. Is that?
Yeah.
On the front, and then on the back, it's just like all of their faces, and then it just says, "We've got your back." Kind of funny, but yeah, the whole thing's just troubling. The whole thing's just troubling, man. It just feels yucky. Like it was hard to like read that news and just watch the shows. Just
honestly, I didn't feel any more amount of yuck when I watched the shows. I think I just have I think I have enough yuck for those shows anyway.
Well, there's never been like a behind the scenes yuck. Like it was. Well, I mean, there have been at times, I guess, but for different reasons entirely.
Yeah,
to that end,
I know what you're saying.
To that end, though, like I'm glad everything's coming out. Everything everyone said is, especially the people we mentioned, and there were many more that came out other than just the names we called out here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, among many things, like some of the stuff Benoist said were like Supergirl levels of hopeful and optimistic. It's hard not to kind of like read this scene and hope like maybe this is the new direction. We'll see.
Well, but these people weren't the people who were doing it in the first place. It's, like I don't Like, yeah, I mean, you can go out there and you can look and see what all these people wrote. But, these people weren't the people who were the problem in the first place.
No. And honestly, the only reason we're not just word for word describing their reactions is because they're just super long. And overall, we get the gist of it is, we know this is bad. We're in this. We're going to fight for a safer workplace. Things we can agree with outright.
Absolutely. Now, they've released the CW fall premiere dates. Supergirl, January 15th. Flash, January 16th. Black Lightning, January 16th. And Arrow, January 18th. Now, you may notice that Legends of Tomorrow is absent. And it appears Black Lightning will be taking over their time slot with new episodes when new episodes resume. No word on when Legends will be back. It doesn't appear to be canceled. Who knows? So, apparently, Legends of Tomorrow Season 3 has an 18-episode count for this season. What were the episodes you said that Constantine were on?
9, 10.
9 and 10.
Yeah, something about
so
Bebo
who knows
and
how
then
they'll schedule that out.
Dark.
Daddy Darkest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's going to deal with some magical folk.
Yeah. So, who knows how they'll wind up airing that. Alright, so, now this has been out for a minute, but we've been off. We should mention it. CW dropped its first promo for the crossover event. More importantly, they put out an extended trailer. It's pretty dope. Like,
it is.
Some of the coolest choreography I've seen.
Yes.
Out of any of this.
And just looking at like each scene, it feels like there are going to be some great moments in there.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that they took themselves very seriously. Like it doesn't just open like this. It doesn't feel like a normal, even TV event. Like they dropped the WBDC logo before and characterize it. Like they're very proud of this. Like it looked like a movie's trailer that I was watching.
Yeah. And there's an awesome bit where like Melissa Benoist is like, or Supergirl is like, there are 52 Earths, and then like Harry's like, 53 actually.
We don't talk about that 53rd.
Oh,
yeah.
What? All right. I don't know. I'm down with it.
Yeah.
I'm down with the sickness, man.
I mean,
this looks good. Catch that? Did you?
I did. I too have been disturbed without a knee. I say that's track 1 off that album. But that's been a long time. No, the speaking of music, actually, the thing that I think I was most impressed by is like that is one of the neatest pieces of score they've had almost outright. Like that is a fantastic little bit of music they've got going on behind this trailer.
It is.
I don't know where they're going to use it, but I feel like I feel like some of the hair on my body is going to stand up when I hear it.
Don't tell me where that body hair is.
I can't specify.
You won't know until it's upon you.
This is we're all just going to be filling this out. Forgive my phrasing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Grant Gustin was talking about it, teased the scale of the event, says there's more people than ever included, some of the biggest sequences you'll see with the most superheroes we've ever seen together at any given time, but we stick also, at least the Flash side of things, we stick with the comedy we've had all year. That still exists within the crossover. Barry and Kara have a few interactions that are fun, classic Barry and Kara interactions. I meet a couple new characters. It's bigger than ever before. Phil Klemmer promised an emotional upheaval, saying, "You'll be surprised that Legends is capable of making our audience cry." You're right. If that happens, I will be surprised.
Okay, I've gotten a little. I won't be surprised. I Snart's exit was tear-worthy.
Yeah,
it can be
Klemmer
done.
Goes on. It can. Klemmer says, "I thought last season really leaned into the comedy, and that season 3 we tripled down on that. There's some ludicrous moments." Yep. He says things get bananas, and yet in this crossover we have this thing that happens that will honestly move you to tears. All right, well, whatever.
I just feel like they're telling me something's gonna go away, but at the same
That's
time,
fine.
like they're also telling me that Victor Garber has plans to leave.
Uh-huh.
So if those two are related,
Mm-hmm.
Not that it won't make for a moving moment, but moving a movement? No, that's a real word.
Well, look, man, we have a few things that we know have to happen. Victor Garber has to go away, and Amaya has to go away at some point.
Sure.
Those things are solid.
Yeah.
Now over to the Flash. Specifically, there are some new character breakdowns that they've revealed. That hashtag show found a couple of new character breakdowns for it. Male, late 20s, late to late 30s, African American, a gregarious and good-natured metahuman who has the ability to read minds. His gift becomes a curse when criminal forces capture Dominic and want him to use his powers for evil. Think young Sterling K. Brown type, recurring guest star. Internet's best guest right now is Dominic Lance, aka Brainstorm. I'd probably side in that camp. Then the next one is male, 30s to 40s, open ethnicity. Neil is a blue-collar, likable, good guy just trying to make ends meet, but unbeknownst to him, he has radiation-emitting meta-powers that could cause the whole city to suffer a not nuclear.
An actual nuclear.
Right, not nuclear, Victor Garber. I'm looking at you. Catastrophic explosion. Neil is unaware that he is hurting people. Think Martin Freeman on The Office. Performer must be bald. Possible recurring guest star. Again, best guest from the internet is Neil Borman, aka Fallout. But what was that? What was the character? Was it Fallout in Young Justice? That was the bald guy who was like brainwashed into like destroying everything.
In Injustice?
Neutron? No, not Injustice. Sorry, Young Justice.
Oh, Young
Neutron?
Justice.
Was that his name?
No, I don't know. It's been too long. I'm sorry. No idea.
Okay.
You watched it
over to
sooner than I did.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
My first thought was like,
to...
that sounded like the poor kid from the Gods and Monsters.
Oh.
But that was like Nuclear Kid or something. That also has been too long.
Yeah. Yeah, Neutron. Neutron and Young Justice is what I was thinking. Nathaniel Tryon. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about.
Gotcha.
When I read that until, you were saying Neil Borman or Fallout. I was like, yeah, but Neutron was bald too. Anyway.
Fair.
Over to Legends.
The internet's best guess right now, that's all I can think of.
Yeah. John Noble. This is exciting. I like John Noble as an actor. John Noble to voice Malice. Big bad of the season, for the season of Legends, has a voice. It is John Noble of Fringe and Sleepy Hollow and a million other things that didn't air on Fox. Guggenheim promises he'll begin to get fleshed out as a character pretty soon, so yay! I'm still like 3 weeks behind on Legends. I have to catch up. Like, I'm behind on Arrow and The Flash at this point. Not The Flash, sorry. Arrow and Legends. Those two.
Those are the two?
I'm really behind on. Yeah. Like, I binge watched Supergirl a few nights ago and then binge watched The Flash a few nights ago as well.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. Anyway.
I've been doing it in entire chunks where like I sit down for several hours and just plow through an entire thing. And I don't know if that's going to happen. It's hard to predict right now. I don't know when that's going to happen, but it's just like, let's click next and go.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm going to bring this up really quickly. I'm sorry. I'm going to pop back to The Flash really quick. Mm-hmm. Ralph Dibny is annoying as crap. Like, I have never seen someone try so hard to be Jim Carrey in my life.
Oh, I'm not getting that out of him at all.
But what's even worse than any of that, though, to me, is like those awful ads that they keep playing, like the special stretch scene where he's like, or like even within the actual episode where they're like doing the close-ups of Caitlin's computer, the little Google Pad thing, whatever they're calling it. Mm-hmm. It's just so clearly like, oh, Cisco's picking up the thing, and like we're not even seeing characters, we're just seeing like Cisco's hand picking up the thing with the logo, and I'm like, are we really doing this, guys? Is that really gotten to this point?
Is it Google or is it the Surface?
I don't even know. I don't know any.
Actually, that's a great argument against this kind of product placement. We don't remember.
It's just a stupid tablet. and I have no interest in.
Yeah,
and
maybe
they
that
keep,
works
like,
against us,
doing
though.
close-ups of it.
Like, maybe we're the people going like, we don't even remember. This is worthless. And then they're like, well, we need to double down. We'll have them talk about it for 2.5 minutes on screen. This will be an entire... Like, they'll come back from commercial, they'll talk about this product for 3.5 minutes, and you'll go back to commercial, and that's your entire act break.
Uh-huh. All right. I really hope they don't do that.
God willing. Let's not go
no,
there.
No, not God willing.
Let's not go there.
Please, God, do not will it. All right, over to Arrow. I'm excited about this. This is news that just dropped today. Pop music legend Billy Joel is going to be on Arrow. And there's going to be a terrorist that, like, Caden James, I'm assuming that's going to be Michael Emerson, threatens a major event at Star City for the Thanksgiving episode. Guggenheim says a variety of ideas were discussed, but then we settled on a rock concert, and I knew it had to be Billy Joel.
Oh my God.
Guggenheim says, I've been a fan of Billy and his music since I was 7 years old. He's always been an inspiration to me, personally and artistically. I told him as much when I wrote to him to ask for his permission to use his concert footage in our episode, and when he agreed, it was one of the happiest days of my career. So he's not even like properly on there, it's just going to be concert footage.
Fair enough. CW waits for you.
I'll be honest, man. I mean, as silly as it is, I love Billy Joel, like, to death. Like, I have so many Billy Joel albums.
That's it. I named it or mimicked it or whatever. I've got like the one Billy Joel song that I really like. Vienna Waits for You.
Oh.
That's what I've got. It's on playlists of mine. I really like that song. Other than that, I don't know, man.
You know?
It's not like I've listened to album, but it's the only hit that I've actually heard that stood out to me.
No scenes from an Italian restaurant, man? Come on. No Allentown?
I don't even know. I'm sorry. I feel
No Midnight
underinformed.
Saigon? It's all right, man. It's all right. We'll fix you up, man.
I've got
I'll
what
get
I
you a
got.
good copy of Glass Houses. I'll get you a good copy of The Stranger and Glass Houses, and maybe even a copy of Piano Man.
I think I actually have a copy of The Stranger.
A little bit of The Nylon Curtain. You know, make sure you're real good. And
Pretty
real
sure I have a
cozy with
copy
Billy
of The
Joel
Stranger
and-
somewhere. I think I have that on
Stranger's
vinyl.
fantastic. What a fantastic album. Just phenomenal. Just,
That doesn't mean I've...
I mean, Billy's not my favorite by any
digested it
stretch,
fully.
but he's got some great stuff out there, man.
Fair enough.
His daughter's actually a pretty good singer as well. Anyway.
So it's Kurt
according to Stephen
Cobain's,
Amell.
of all places.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, strange things.
According to Stephen Amell, the Bruce Wayne name drop was his brainchild. Here's his story. He says the original version of that script, which came out right before Comic-Con, it was just Oliver referencing a famous name. I can't even remember what the placeholder was. I think it might have been Justin Bieber. I looked at it, and I thought to myself, this is a cool opportunity. I talked with Greg Berlanti about it, and Greg said, I think that it would behoove you to just go directly to Geoff Johns and simply ask. You'll probably have better luck than I would. It's kind of telling. What's wrong with Berlanti and John's relationship?
Actually, I have a guess about that.
All right.
And I feel like if Berlanti went and said, hey, I'd like to drop this name, I think that's the same kind of person that, like...
Is secretly planning another series?
Yes, did Arrow thinking, oh, there will come a time where I can do Flash. Whereas, like, Stephen Amell is just really excited about one idea, and that's all he has to worry about. One moment versus, come on, man, I can't commit millions of dollars to this thing you're like backing me up to right now.
I can see that. So he continues. I was at the DC Comics party at Comic-Con. Geoff and I were supposed to meet and chat quickly. I couldn't track him down, and the next thing I knew, I ended up in a four-way conversation with Peter Roth, Diane Nelson, and Kevin Tsujihara all at the same time. I was like, guys, I have an idea. It will cost you nothing. I think it'd be really fun. It opens the door to a lot of possibilities. I've always thought that our iteration of Oliver Queen and the way that we built his character obviously has so many similarities to Bruce Wayne and Batman, and so much of the inspiration for the early parts of our show were taken from the Nolan Batman. I've always thought that Bruce Wayne would be an interesting ally on the show, and an even more interesting villain to Oliver, which doesn't mean that he's a villain. It just means that they don't like each other. So anyway, I had this holy trinity of DC and Warner Brothers Television and Warner Brothers overall in front of me, and I pitched this idea. I've got all my follow-up points, and Kevin Tsujihara goes, yeah, sure. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, it sounds like fun. Do that. So we did it. I didn't actually believe that it would make it until I actually saw it in the locked cut. But that would be fun. That'd be really fun. I
look,
love man,
everything about that.
We have Tyler Hoechlin Superman. I say we bring in a Batman. Can it be like Ian Somerhalder? Can it be like just rectify that mistake from Smallville right now?
It can be so much, but I love so much about the conversation Amel has. Like he sounds like a Comic-Con fan that
Sure
accidentally found himself in a conversation with powerful people instead of like being the representation of a titular character of their like show that made everything else happen. He just sounds so excited. I don't know, man. It's such a charming story from that angle.
Yeah, I'm down.
And
It's
I
fun.
like the fact that he was surprised by it sounds a lot like he had like a PowerPoint presentation mentally, at least, that he was willing to give them. And they were like, "Oh yeah, that sounds fine. Just go with it." He just like sat there like, "Well, but okay. All right."
Yeah. All right, over to the new Titans show. Geoff Johns has teased the Doom Patrol. I still don't think I said it right. Doom Patrol. There you are.
Third times.
Over on Twitter, Ryan K. Potter tells Geoff Johns, "Thank you for your time today, brother. Can't wait to show the world what everyone is cooking up." Geoff Johns responds, "My pleasure. Loved talking about all things # Beast Boy, Green Tigers, Doom Patrol, and Halo. We're going to have a blast."
Meaning he's going to kill the Doom Patrol in a very heartful episode
Yeah.
where they save 19 people.
It's Geoff Johns, not Zack Snyder.
It could be.
Well, I didn't have plans with the Doom Patrol, so I just decided let's kill him.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of funny. It'd be kind of funny to kill him. I don't know.
It could be. That's a popular ending for it. It could work.
Over to Gotham, the synopsis for episode 311, A Dark Knight Queen Takes Night, mentions a familiar smile returning to Gotham. This will be the December 7th fall finale of Gotham. Best bet is Cameron Monaghan's Joker. No, sorry, not Joker, Jerome. Very clear on that. It's Jerome, not Joker.
Yeah. Don't misspeak.
I misspoke in the genuine sense, not in the I am a liar politicians iteration. The best bet is Cameron Monaghan's Jerome makes his interest here. Brian Winbrandt, co-EP, talked about this story, his story arc this time around. This is really something that just we as a room cooked up, and it's a really unique and original kind of take on a storyline for him. We feel like where The Killing Joke was so obviously and intentionally a touchstone in the last run, there is nothing of that kind of ilk for this. Now there's always things that will make you go, oh, it's a little bit like this, or it's a little bit, I see the inspiration there, I see the inspiration here. But this is a very original kind of take on this story, and we're really excited about it because his reintroduction into the Gotham world is going to have him crossing with characters we've not yet seen him with, which is really kind of a theme we've been playing with this whole season and something we've challenged ourselves over designing this season. All right, well, fine. Now
I want to like impose that over that theme they had going from like what was it, a year and a half ago, where there were the ha-ha-has on the back, like the idea that it wasn't just a Joker, it was multiple Jokers and all this crap.
Yeah,
I feel like there have been a lot of misleads from the production team of Gotham. Like, so if you combine the like, oh, it's just the idea of Joker and all that, it could get us to somewhere really interesting. But
yeah,
They could just be messing with us. I have a hard time.
Brian Winbrandt was also talking about recasting Ivy again. He says the change was all based on the idea that she's continuing to evolve to become more of the Ivy from the comic books and what we really enjoyed. What's been really cool about her character, and Maggie was so great, was you had Claire, for the first iteration, be the child who was trying to find her way in the world. Then we see her evolve into the second iteration of Ivy, played by Maggie. She's amazing and embodied sort of a fun kind of comic and zany quality to her, who then starts to see that she wasn't being respected, so she wanted to do something about that. In this third evolution, you're going to see a really self-possessed, really scary, and driven version of the Ivy character, who is intent on kind of making the world in the image she sees it should be, which is the green world, the world where the plants rule and the people are an afterthought. I mean, obviously that was the point all along. I honestly wanted to see Maggie do that, but whatever.
My only objection is that young actor or actress could have done that just as well.
Absolutely. Claire Foley could have done that as well.
Claire could have done that.
Absolutely.
I don't know what she's doing
over
right
to
now,
Lucifer.
and bless her. She was good, though.
Mm-hmm. She was creepy.
The good kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm.
She was solid.
But over to Lucifer.
Mm-hmm.
Co-showrunner Joe Henderson says the Sinnerman. Co-showrunner Joe Henderson says the Sinnerman story comes back with a fury and carries us into our crazy mid-season finale, where we'll finally get some answers and ask a whole new batch of questions. I know people have been eager to get back to the Sinnerman story, and I promise it'll be worth the wait. I forgot about the Sinnerman story.
Well, I didn't, but
I kind of did.
I kind of appreciated that other people are wondering, hey, where are we?
Remember that story you guys promised to tell?
Yeah, like, where are we doing the 4 episodes you had in the can, and where are we doing the new season?
Yeah.
I almost wish they would, like, drop the previously on Lucifer and just do it.
Yeah.
Well, in all fairness,
I bet one of those. I can't remember well enough, but I bet the episode where he goes to find candy in Las Vegas was part of last season.
At this point, if it doesn't connect to the news story, I would just assume and work backwards.
Anywho, we've got some other stuff. Injustice 2, the newest fighters have been released. This is going to include Enchantress, the Atom, and the freaking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I mean, damn.
How do you I want to play this now.
Yeah, I know. I understand.
Officially, Hellboy and the Ninja Turtles.
Did you watch the trailer?
I heard about it. I didn't actually watch it all.
The funniest part is, you see the introduction of the Ninja Turtles, and they look like badasses. And they look kind of fun, in the way that they're all getting on to, Michelangelo says something along the I've got the witch, and they're like, no, we fight as a team. It has that dynamic that you appreciate, but the funny part about it is Adam looks like the badass out of it.
That's awesome.
He takes on Enchantress by his damn self.
Well, sure.
She throws magic shit at him, and he just kind of smalls himself out of the way, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
They all look like perfectly wonderful, viable fighting characters. It's hard not to want to play these people.
Yeah.
I wish there was an adult Chuck E. Cheese I could just go to and knock this out.
Right. All right, so a few days ago, 4chan started a rumor that Superman was going to be the next big game that Rocksteady Studios was doing. And they were saying there was going to be they're going to be on the cover of Game Informer, Mm-hmm. And we actually got feedback from Chris White about this, telling us about all this. And then, before we got a chance to air it, though, Andrew Reiner, one of the executive editors of the executive editor of Game Informer, was asked about it, and he was like, "Why do you keep asking me about Superman, talking to all these people?" And then everyone told him about the 4chan story, and he went, "Ha ha 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 ha. No, Superman, no." So that's done. Now Gotham by Gaslight, though. Actually, you know what? Chris did ask us. He did ask us in his what we wanted out of a Superman game.
It to be doable?
Yeah. I mean, he's just got to have the mechanics of Superman. I want an open world mechanics of Superman game. Really, that's all I really want. I want him to fight, Luthor, Brainiac.
It's not
the standards.
It's not story.
Doomsday,
I
guess
it's incredibly hard to make a game that's an open world game where you have a character that can do what these characters can do. Like even Flash, really difficult. Like if you do it, you have to dumb down the visualizations in a way. It's technically extremely difficult to actually pull off.
I don't think so. Not necessarily. I think you have. You can do a thing where you have, like, instead of, like, thugs and stuff like you did in the Batman Arkham games, you have, like, robots who all have, like, kryptonite-based weapons.
Well, that part's fine. It's just getting in between things. Like, getting in between things in the Batman games, you can literally run along the street, which is fine. You could do that in a Superman game, too. But you couldn't do it and keep the resolution where it needs to be and make it look like a coherent city. Like, you couldn't make Metropolis and keep the level of graphics you expect from, Xbox One or a PS4 now. Or whatever version of PC we're at the moment. You couldn't keep that level of graphics and have Superman or the Flash run across even one block of City Street. Doesn't make sense anymore. You have to find, like, a cool way to kind of animate moving along those blocks. Like, it's the same way that, like, even in Mario Brothers, you went into a pipe and there was an animation and came out somewhere else.
Yeah. Did you ever play Enter the Matrix?
Yeah, I saw it. I didn't actually play that one. I saw that one.
That was a pretty cool game. I think it was just for the, I can't remember if it was just for PlayStation or PlayStation 2. But it was I want to say PS2.
I want to say PS2 too.
It was pretty, it was a pretty damn cool game. They had bullet time, but you had to, like, build it up. They could do that with Superman or the Flash.
They
either
that
one.
With, I want to say Max Payne.
I wouldn't know about that.
Problem is, though, like,
that.
you can do bullet time. Bullet time's one thing, but, like, bullet time is, you have to, that's within a context. Like, you have that entire field animated, and you can just kind of move within it at your leisure. You can't do that with an entire city, which is what, theoretically, Superman should be able to do.
I mean, I guess you could.
He should be able to bullet time. No, you can't. That's my point. You cannot theoretically bullet time an entire city. You can't put that on a disc.
Why?
You can't put that in a game. You can't actually articulate that digitally right now. It's impossible.
I have no idea what's impossible or possible based on these games. I just don't. I don't keep up with it enough to I don't know the technology.
I think, God, if I'm wrong, correct me, but the technology's not there for, like, a bullet time of an entire city. It's just not there.
Maybe not for the entire game, but that's what I'm saying. Like, bullet time would run out on Enter the Matrix, so why wouldn't bullet time be able to run out on Superman? Like, you have to, like,
that would bother me is, like, why would Superman have a bullet time capacity?
Because you can build into the engine. He can, just like Supergirl can, and Superman, actually, it started with Superman, he can exhaust his powers by doing, like, the supernova eye blast thing.
Yeah, you can.
Why can't he exhaust his powers? Yeah, so when he uses his powers, he's, slowly draining his powers. Stuff like bullet time would cost more. And you put it on a system like that, you know what I mean?
I mean, it could, but it wouldn't be the traditional view of the characters. Like, we're talking about a Superman who, on an average day with no Doomsday or Lex Luthor Kryptonian device inhibiting his 24-hour schedule, just traveling within the city and correcting whatever wrongs he wants to.
I don't see,
like,
any given story at any moment, we're looking at, like, a snapshot in time, like a few minutes, like a good 10, 15 minutes maybe of an entire day of Superman, right? If you're playing an open world game and it's picking up right where it leaves off, where, like, they're doing the thing where it's, like, enhanced time, where it's, like, hours are passing, like they do in the Arkham games, like they do in the old Spider-Man games from PlayStation, in those open world environments, which also had sort of a bullet time spider sense thing. You know what? I don't see a problem in having his energy run down the more he uses it. There's a clear precedent for it in the source material. I think that there is absolutely a way to do it. Is it trickier? Yeah, but instead of gliding and running around on ropes and shit, he's just flying. He's got super strength. You just do the same thing, but with, more powerful enemies, and put it on, his abilities on an expenditure level, like during the, have it actually become night. He's a little less powerful at night. Let's do that. Like, his powers run a little lower at night. I think that's the only way to do it, is what I'm saying.
Running a little lower makes sense to me, and romantically, I've always loved the idea that like Superman protects the day and Batman protects the night.
Sure.
But realistically, come on, he's a storage cell of the sun's power. I couldn't really get behind that. That would actually cause me some philosophical problems with the game.
Yeah, but you have philosophical problems with the Arkham games. I mean, Batman's leaving people like laying in puddles of water, dying and stuff. So
that's a real issue.
I'm just thinking instead of Zaz, calling on the damn phone, there's like, as Superman, you're flying through the city and like you just keep hearing meows, and it's like cats being stuck in trees that you have to keep saving.
Now that sounds
instead of doing the actual,
like, how many side missions can you do?
All right.
No, but for real, like I probably laughed for 3.5 uninterrupted minutes the moment I watched some poor Arkham Asylum inmate underground whose face was completely engulfed in water, and his digitals, his bio signs read unconscious. And we left it there for like 45 good seconds, and it just said unconscious, and you looked at his poor little digital head. That man was completely engulfed in water. I don't know what I mean.
Or you do something like where the first Superman game, until you like work out the engine, you do, how they kind of they just threw Batman in Arkham Asylum in the first game to work out the kinks of the engine itself. Semi-open world, you do the same thing with Superman, but what you do is like maybe you start the game out with he gets like infected with some sort of alien disease, or Luthor concocted some kind of thing, and he's at like a degenerating ability factor the entire game. Like he's sick, and he's trying to find a way to not be sick. That's the game for the first one, and you figure it out and you move on. Give us a red sun. Give us like Luthor could put like a filter on the sun, an Instagram filter on the sun, and make it red. I don't know.
Soups versus Instagram.
Yeah. Anyway, Gotham by Gaslight
Moving on.
is going to be released digitally. Yes, absolutely. Gotham by Gaslight is released digitally on January 23rd, 2018, with a Blu-ray edition dropping February 6th. The Blu-ray special features will include audio commentary by Bruce Timm, Sam Liu, and Jim Krieg. Caped Fear, The First Elseworld, a featurette exploring the influence of Gotham by Gaslight's graphic novel release, a sneak peek at the next movie Suicide Squad Hell to Pay, and a copy of Showdown from BTAS, and Trials of the Demon from Brave and the Bold. They've also released a Gotham by Gaslight trailer. It looks pretty cool. The animation looks a little shittier than I want it to. Like, it looks a little less up to snuff than I think it should.
Sometimes
some of
this looks a little forced.
I honestly would have rather them taken a little more time on it and made it look like the Mike Mignola stuff. I think I would have preferred that, but I'll check it out. I'll see it.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it. But
yeah,
I understand.
Now we have some feedback. Brent Clark at Brentac Prime on Twitter. This is the cat that does Fans Without Borders. Fantastic show on the Squadcast Network. You should go check that out. He has some correcting for us. He says, nitpick time. Wells called Barry the Flash, not to his face in the second episode of the show. He started using it halfway half to 2/3 of the way through the first season, because I said they didn't use the name Flash for most of the first season, I think, or the whole. I don't know what I said. I also said that I thought they called him the Blur. He says Barry was the Streak. Blur may have been mentioned once, but Streak is what he was called the most before Flash. And he's right. The Blur was Clark in Smallville. The Streak was on the Flash. And as I said on Twitter, I'm sorry, guys. My memory got a little blurry.
Yeah, I agree.
I was actually sadly proud. I was sadly proud enough of that joke to reiterate it here on the show. I was probably wrong.
I was
Nerdy-tastic.
complicit, and I side with Dave.
Yeah, our listener Nerdy-tastic on Twitter says, just Fred Tassacor. That's how you say it. I don't recall what she's talking about, but I'm sure I screwed something up. So there you go. Scott Madison.
There's
over on Facebook.
There's nothing I'm more sure we're wrong about than when someone sends, like, here's how you pronounce it.
Yeah. And it wasn't worth all the work to put it in, but someone actually left us a voicemail, and all they said was Mirakuru. And hung up.
I say Mirakuru. I'm sorry. All right, whoever this is, I swear I've said Mirakuru every time.
I think I screwed it up or something. I don't know. I'm sure it was me. Or maybe I said if I hear Mirakuru one more time or something. I don't know. I don't know what the point of it was, but it was funny.
Fair enough.
Not enough for me to put on the show.
Also,
because that's work.
Work is work. Yeah, no, I thought we had that right.
I know we had it right. I think I accidentally stumbled over my own pronunciation once or twice.
Fair enough.
Or maybe I just said I didn't want to ever hear about Mirakuru. See, I did it again. Mirakuru again. And the guy decided to do it. I don't know.
Some nice combination.
Maybe he's just taunting
I was going to say, like,
yeah.
If we didn't get it right, that's fine. If we just said it wrong too many times, okay. Yeah. I'm suddenly very supportive of this.
All right, one more piece of feedback. Mm-hmm. Damn it. Scott Madison over on Facebook says, one universal truth we can count on. In any CW Arrowverse show, when a character apologizes for keeping secrets and says, no more secrets between us to someone else, it is an ironclad guarantee that there will totally be more huge secrets between them very soon.
Completely agree.
I'll laugh really hard at that. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
That is...
I read it like 2 days ago, but it was amazing.
Yeah. Yep, that's a nail on the head kind of thing.
Yep.
Also, doesn't feel like we hear enough from him.
We don't. We don't hear enough from Scott Madison anymore. We used to hear a lot from him, and I don't know what happened. I guess he's just been busy with whatever, life. Pfft.
I'm just going to challenge him to chime in more.
I mean, I know he was over on the Cosmic Potato Show with Sean Ray, talking to this guy who wrote a Quantum Leap novel, who knows the Belisario, Donald Belisario and whatnot, the creator of Quantum Leap,
Yeah.
And Scott pitched a reunion movie to the guy, and the guy says he's going to put him in contact with the people in charge at Quantum Leap.
Well, that's a hell of a thing. Yeah.
That's pretty exciting,
yeah.
if anything comes of it. And by the way, that episode, like, Scott talks about all, like, his pitch, it's a fine pitch. Like, Scott's got writing in his blood. He should be doing that. I don't know. Anyway. That's going to call it. I'm going to call it. Before editing, we're at 3 hours, so we're going to call it.
Yeah.
Yep. You can find us on Twitter, DC On Screen. You can find us on Facebook, same place, DC On Screen. You can just type DC On Screen into your little search bar and you'll see our page pop up. Remember to go over there and leave us a 5-star written review on Facebook or on iTunes, or both. Both would be amazing. I would love you forever if you did both. So if you want to leave us a voicemail, and you'll probably be featured if you don't just say one word.
Or
205
it depends on the word.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if the news is, thrown out before we get a chance to air it, I'm sorry, Chris. I really am. I love you, buddy. 205-259-6331 for, I will say, a chance to be on the show at this point. I did tell him, I was like, yeah, I'll put you on the show. And then, I was like, oh, the news is debunked. He talks for a minute and a half telling us this news, and I just feel bad about it now.
Oh, yeah, that is rough.
I'm sorry, bud. I'm sorry.
That is rough.
So, yeah.
I'm sorry, man.
Anyway, DCOnscreen.com for every episode for free. There's no paywall. Go subscribe to us on things, whatever. iTunes, Stitcher, wherever your pods are caught. That's it. We're done. Until next time, which may not be next week. I'm not sure yet. Keep some DC on your screen. Our opening narration was from Dan Jurgens' The History of the DC Universe, Part 3 of 10, as featured in DC 52 Week 4. It was performed by me, David Z. Robertson. Intro music by Jason Goss and Michael Shackelford. Michael's band Future Elevators can be found on Spotify or future-elevators.com. Our introduction was performed by Eli Ophelders of Stealing the Remote, which lives on SoundCloud and can be found on iTunes and Stitcher. We're a proud member of the Giant Size Team Up Network, GiantSizeTeamUp.com. DC On Screen is a maladjusted production. Visit maladjusted.tv for more from me and Jason, including sketch comedy and improvised web series, vlogs, parodies, and more.
Are you maladjusted?
Who do you trust to repair your car, truck, van, or SUV? Rely on the personal experience of people who've had their vehicles serviced by Myers Auto Service.
Hi, this is Tracy from Omaha. I've had everything from my motor replaced to oil changes. They always tell me what's wrong with the car and how long it can go before it needs to be fixed, and they've always been honest and fair with their pricing.
At Myers Auto Service, we don't want to be everyone's mechanic, just yours. Just north of 140th off Old L Street and at MyersAutoservice.com.